Hello and welcome, not to a critical reaction, but to the Critical Reactions channel. How is everyone doing this morning? Or afternoon, evening? I mean, I'm almost in my afternoon. 30 minutes until noon. So, I'm at the last few moments of morning for me. But my day's going pretty good so far. A little anxious leading up to this, but it's all good. Live streams always make me anxious. This one more so because it's different. Eating dinner, relaxing with a cup of tea. All right. Those are those seem much better than me. And I'm just realizing I started this just before noon. And much like the Sunday live streams, it's probably going to end a little after lunchtime. I should have had something first. But like I said, I was a bit anxious coming into this. So, hello from England. Welcome. I know we have, when I look at the analytics, we have like 36% from the US and then a bunch of people from the UK. I think they're number two. Yeah, so 30% from the US and then 8% from UK, 6% from Germany, 4% from Canada, 3% from Sweden. That's our top three, or top five. I swear I can count. It's always interesting to look through some of this stuff. Oh, that's good. Uh, for the longest time, let me see. Don't know to my anxiety. Your live stream's always a chill, fun time. Yeah, I mean, it's not. Okay, so here's the thing. Somebody actually picked up. I don't know if maybe some people have picked up on it, just not said it, expressed it. But somebody in the video where I asked people why they watch, someone had mentioned that they felt I was a kind of an introvert, and I'm like a total introvert. I hate speaking in front of people, which is probably why it's so much easier to record, to pre-record stuff, because it's just me and a camera. But here, it's all documented. There's no way to pause it and fix it later if I need to, and it's real time with other people, and yeah, it hits me. It hits me. It's a little stressful. Are we Europeans in the majority? Um, mm, I would have to tell you later after I added it all up, but I don't think so. I think Europe is going to account for about 20%. 22 maybe tops. As far as actually raw views and watch hours are fairly similar. I wonder if that's typical for channels. Rarely edit videos. Yeah, I do rarely edit them, but there are certainly some. I think I've been doing it more often lately. I don't remember what happened, but there were a couple where I put some really interesting edits into them, like swirly edits and like these nice phase edits to shift between two different cuts because I think I had to stop the recording entirely. There are times when I just have to pause it, and that's when you're going to get those rough cuts. What are they called? Smash cuts, where like I'm right here and then I'm right here, and it just kind of continues on past that. That's usually a pause. But if there's a funky shift and it looks like I'm flexing my editing skills a little, that's usually when I had to actually cut the video for one reason or another. Oh, you know what? I think the latest was in the Genesis um, album review because it was either that or is one of the previous albums. It was one of them though, and it came up to it was getting time for school to let out. I had to go pick up my kids, so I had to actually cut the recording and come back to it a couple hours later to finish out the last couple tracks. Yeah. So very rarely do I edit, but sometimes I do. Damien, you're late. Not really. I mean, Technically, I said it started at 11:30. You're only 2 minutes behind. Come on, Europeans, you gotta do it better. Saludos de Español. De Español? Yeah, I think I said that right the first time. It just felt weird. I think that's salutations. Welcome. Glad to have you, Solus. No one's claimed first yet. I blame a little demon for the cuts. Yep, always. That's a pause, not an edit. Yeah, some of them are pauses, some of them are edits. Have I checked out new Devin Townsend? I have not. I saw that the new album came out and I haven't touched it. I don't even think it's in my list. I just don't have the need to go watch it, to go listen to it. There's something like Devin. Maybe I should, because I remember somebody was saying that it was different than some of his other works. But Devin is an extremely talented person whose music always bounces off of me despite how much I enjoy the aesthetic of it. And I wish I liked Devin more, but nothing I've heard really makes me want to listen to more of his stuff on my own time. Digging into it, sure. I'm always down for a Devin reaction. He does some really cool stuff. But on my own, there's just so many more albums that are above his as far as my list goes. Glad to see you live. Your voice matters a lot. All right. Well, we should do this more often, I think. I don't know when, and this is part of why I asked what people came to my video for, my videos, because I do want to engage with the community in this manner more often. I was thinking of actually doing, of splitting the album reviews into a live stream reaction with less analysis, and then a typical pre-recorded video of the analysis maybe a day later, a couple days later, just so that we can have more of this one-on-one, real time, not one-on-one, real-time interactions going on. What job do you have outside of YouTube? Well, this is a Q&A, so let's start with the Q's and let me drop some A's. I don't. YouTube is my job right now. I would love to say that I have something academic or musical, but as often as I've tried, nothing's really succeeded. I do have a ton of commissioned works, probably in PowerPoints from across the years, but it was nothing that was ever substantial enough for it to be my primary income. It was always paired with some minimum wage job. I would love to do something academic. I would love to teach, but that requires going back to school for an education degree. And that's money I don't have, unfortunately. And at this point in time, I don't have. What's up? Hey, welcome, osteohyporosis. I do have stuff that is music related I would like to do outside of the channel. I actually found out, I don't remember who it was. Somebody in the community tipped me off to local orchestras, and I actually found an orchestra for my county, and I want to go join that, but well, unfortunately, I can't right now. It's a big thing. But yeah, so let's see. Osio says, "What's up? Doing pretty good, man. Welcome to the stream. Prog rock playlist. How do you grow a beard? Yeah, wait. You wait. Honestly, this beard, this is a pretty good length for it. This I can grow in about a week and a half. If you guys remember, like a year and a half ago, I used to have like a real big chin beard. That took me months. I don't know what it is. My hair gets to a certain length, whether it's on my head or my chin or whatever, and then it just stops growing. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta wait. Casual Q&A album review would also help with context while... Oh, snap! Talk about coming in clutch with that. Yeah. There's a lot of times when just being able to ask, what does this mean? Because, like, the Genesis thing, I think if I had been given some context at the beginning of the album, maybe a track or two in, it would have drastically helped my understanding of it later down the line. That's definitely something that's it's got like a snowball effect going. where not understanding the beginning ruins more and more of the album as I go on. So yeah, that's whoa. Yeah, talk about all right, yeah, that just solidified the fact that we need to do album reactions live. Prog Pair says, does this support you all right? It did. It did. And I'm not going to lie. Part of the channel update that's going to come out in January is about some of the financial situations of the channel. Uh, there was a time, probably a good 3 or 4 months over the summer, when I would say that I was comfortable doing the channel. But funding has been cut pretty drastically in the past few months, which is what spurred me to kind of figure out what the channel needs to be about and trimming off the fat, possibly maybe making it a bit more palatable. I don't want to get rid of the analyses or the in-depth conversations or the long-form content, but I do think I need to expand the audience in an attempt to make better business decisions, which I have made zero of. Everything I've done so far has been about the channel and about the music itself. Absolutely nothing has been, how do I make more money off of this? And it's quickly coming to a point where I need to decide if I should continue to work on this full time or begin to put more of my time towards a job that has a bit more financial stability to it. So I don't want this to be too heavy, but like I said, we'll get into more of that at the beginning of next year. Joining a local orchestra would be dope. What do you play? Acronic says, how's your day? Fantastic. Benny says, looking good, man. Thank you. So retro, what do I play? I play trumpet. That is what I have the longest time on. It was the first instrument I picked up. I was 15. I played classical for 7 years, plus a couple more in college, but I took a break there. So a collective probably 9 years of trained trumpet playing. I also did jazz for 6 of those years, jazz trumpet. I did auxiliary percussion for marching band because I did marching trumpet for a couple of years and hated it. So I picked up auxiliary percussion, learned how to play marimba and xylophone and uh, orchestral snare, orchestral bass drum, all that kind of stuff. Self-taught guitar and bass, and self-taught piano. And I can play pretty much anything brass. I can produce a sound out of. Don't give me a reeded instrument. I've tried. I'm terrible at it. I kind of play drum kit. I can't play it by myself, but I did buy an Alesis DM6 and bought the third tom and the third cymbal for it to play Rock Band Pro mode, which is basically note for note what you would actually play, but I have to have those stupid notes coming at me in the game. Otherwise, I can't play drum kit. It's so weird. My brain's just not wired for it. So yeah, local orchestra would be dope, 100%. I can't wait to do that. So I know the comp jam is a thing, but I don't know how to participate. Would you be able to do a mini series? Yes. Yes, okay. So I will definitely do that. The comp jam is entirely housed within the Discord right now, so the first thing you want to do is find the Discord introduction video. If you want, I can link that. I think I can link that in the chat. And make a Discord account and get in over there and I can walk you through it. I probably I'm thinking, should I expand that outside of the Discord and try to run it in 2 separate places? And I was like, well, there's a lot of activities on the Discord. Should I try to separate them and make sure it's run? I think I'm just going to keep it on the Discord. It's easiest for me. Chat is moving quite fast. Do you regret hearing any songs? Something that was disturbing or simply cringe? No. No, every song there's something to learn from every song, whether I enjoy it or not. There's certainly some songs that have made me feel more uncomfortable than others, but I don't think discomfort is a reason to not have had an experience, not enough to make me regret it. And off the top of my head, I can't remember what any of those tracks were, but just a couple. Could you do some theory videos? That is in the works. I'm hoping 2023 I can find a way to put an extra bit of work on my plate. It's pretty full right now, but if anything, at least one video a week just covering a simple topic, and doing a music theory 101. Quick rundown, 5 minutes, what is a note? 5 minutes, what is how to read the staff? 5 minutes, how to read chords? What is the circle of fifths? I almost said the circle of life. And explaining, moving past what is music to advanced techniques, hockets and cannons and stuff like that. So that eventually I can just start naming things and expect the audience to know what I'm talking about rather than spending 5 to 10 minutes every time I bring a topic up to re-talk about it. I do think that's bloating some of my videos a little bit. I should do live stream reactions. We do those with the patron reactions. Not full analyses, but actually, yeah, pretty much just straight up reactions. I do give my thoughts on it, but not as in depth. Opening them up to the general community is something we did once by accident, and it led to all the patrons being able to participate. And I think eventually the plan is to allow everyone to participate in those, with patrons being able to select which songs we do. But I am trying to figure out ways to incorporate more of the YouTube community. I know for the past couple of years, everything is fairly dominated by patron and special selection. And that is not, it is by design, because as I just mentioned, this is my primary source of income. I gotta appease the people supporting the channel first, I feel. But it is something I want to balance a little better going forward. I agree with Jason. Maybe a video on the comp channel would be cool. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. Definitely get everybody on board with that. Global economic situations certainly don't help. What I could survive on, and the thing, well, I don't want to put it that way. I'm still surviving. The bills are getting paid. Grocery bills are kind of pushing outside a little bit. I am racking up a little bit of debt. Not anything too scary yet, but certainly something that tells me I need to begin to reassess my financial situation. But yes, the rising inflation, and well, not even just inflation, just CEOs raising prices because they can right now, is making life difficult. And that sucks. Do whatever you need, except nightmare reactions. So Jason, love music, of course, but no real education. That is fine. We actually had 2 people come in this last, I think it was 2 months ago, start the comp jam, and I don't think either one of them have any academic training either. And they have, you just dive in. That's the point. The topics are very general. I think this one is, oh yeah, this month is just write a song with 4 instruments in it. You don't need to know theory, just open up some software, start recording or utilizing virtual instruments, and just write something. Afterwards, everybody can chime in and give feedback if they'd like, and the point is to help you grow. Next month, hopefully you do something a little better than you did last month, or more experimental, or just pushing yourself and stuff like that. Hated marching trombone. I don't, yeah, it's fun. It can be fun. It's very boring for me mid-season though. Then it's just repetition. I don't know. So brass yourself. Brian is coming. I've been in Discord since day one. Oh, okay. Then hit me up. DM me on Discord, and I'll get you rolling with that. Not even Red Solo Cup. No, Red Solo Cup's a fine song. Oh, but Varg. Burzum. I don't regret that one. And to be fair, musically, I kind of enjoyed it as far as black metal goes. The the follow-up to that, I do regret a little bit. That was the first time we had trolls on the server, on the Discord server. First time we had trolls in the comments. I had to do a lot more moderating and policing than I had ever had to do, and it's the reason why we probably won't have more Burzum on the channel. But musically, I don't regret listening to the track. In terms of finances, music theory vids could even be monetized. Okay, so here's the thing. There is a reason that none of my videos... Oh, yeah, monetized. We can go with that. Yes. Yes, they can be monetized, which is good. Which is actually the reason, one of the things behind me saying that we could do live stream reactions and separate analysis videos. The analysis videos could be monetized. And we're talking about fractions of a penny per view. But it's something. And I'm kind of hoping that something translates to continuing to be able to do this full time. I don't think I've ever heard music that disturbed me. Yeah, right there with you. Do you do viewer song reviews? I have material. Yes, 100%. Every Friday. I do a thing called Creator Request. It's the second video of every Friday. And any smaller bands, no fee. I do it completely, out of the courtesy of my heart, I guess, but also just the love of music and wanting to help musicians grow. One, it's a bit of a platform to say, hey, this is new music coming up. I have 26,000 subscribers. It's not a lot, but it's, some eyes I can get on these smaller bands and a little bit of feedback if they want it. So yeah, email me, criticalreactions@pm.me. And, we can talk about that and get you in the queue for that. Do you like movies or games more? It depends on what I'm in the mood for. Movies have much better pacing, especially with the way games are going right now with open worlds and bloating and walking 15 minutes between story beats and endless grinds. So if I want a tightly paced work of art, I'm typically going to go towards movies. But if I need something thinking, that's not even true too, because I do think a lot with movies too. I'm focusing on the story, character arc, shot composition, shot techniques, aspect ratio. That's actually so. There was this pretty big Netflix film that came out a couple years ago called Marriage Story with that dude who played that dude from Star Wars. And Scarlett Johansson, I think. And it was about them getting divorced. And my partner at the time, we were watching it, and I paused it and I was like, "Did you notice the aspect ratio?" And she's like, "What?" I was like, "Dude, it's 16:9." I said, "That's so weird. Movies are usually shot at super wide screen." I said, "We usually have the bars on the top and bottom." I said, "But this doesn't. This fills the TV." And she's like, "I don't care. Why are you telling me this?" And I'm like, "No, it's more intimate. Those super wide shots are great for making something feel larger than life and to have this massive perspective on it and make it feel large or make people feel small in a large battlefield and stuff. But this is very personal. It's very close. You don't get to see much around people's faces." I said, it makes the acting more intimate. I said it was purposefully chosen for that. And she's like, "Can we just watch the film?" Adam Driver. There we go. So, yeah, I'm critical about all art. Music happens to be what I have the most experience with, especially in the creation and performance of. But I'm pretty active watcher as well. But there's something visceral about video games that if I'm in the mood to be more active, be more of a participant, I suppose. Yeah, I'll play a game. I don't know. That kind of took on a weird tangent there, but uh, public theme polls. something I've actually been thinking about. There's going to be a post on Patreon soon, much like the YouTube video, why do you guys come to my channel? I'm going to figure out why people come to Patreon. Because I'm fairly certain that any decision I make to incorporate more of the YouTube community's input into the channel is going to reduce the power of the patrons. And I got to figure out what would be best for that. Like even that right there, public theme polls, even if I did it once a month, not even for every week, that's reducing some of the value of being a patron. So, um, it really is a balancing act between trying to keep the channel financially viable while also trying to incorporate everybody into the channel. I'm in a metalhead. Oh, I'm a metalhead for the most part, but I'd love to see reactions to Art Blakely or Wes Montgomery. Maybe I could understand jazz. You are in luck. You are in luck. What's the poll looking like? We are going to do jazz, not this upcoming week, which is going to be indie rock, but the week after. Starting on November 21st is going to be jazz week. So, yeah, get ready. Will you teach your kids any instruments? I tried. My daughter, she loved to play piano a lot when she was younger. She tried to play the trumpet when she was like 3 or 4, really interested in that because her dad played it. But she had a real tough time producing the sound, which I don't blame. She's 4 years old, right? I don't know if that discouraged her or not. She loved playing the piano, but since about 6 or 7, she really took to drawing, which is her mom's craft. And that's where she's heading right now. And I'm fine with that. As long as she's creative, as long as she has an output for that creativity, I don't care what she does. And if she ends up picking up music, in school, maybe she tries out for band or something, I'm down for that too. But if she doesn't, that's fine. I honestly see her going for an art area um, ahead of her. She says right now she wants to draw, what is it? Draw fashion so that people could make her clothes that she draws and do like fashion shows with them. That's what she wants to do right now. So yeah, it's something that I'm going to continue to show her if she wants, but I'm not going to push it. Have you looked into playing live on Twitch? I am on Twitch. I did do a couple of streams over there early this year, I think. One of them, actually both of them, were live composition videos where I was working on probably my comp jam piece at the time or whatever. And I think I just put too much. Well, then we started album reviews. That didn't help. That certainly took up more time. So yeah, I ran out of time to do it. We were doing it on every Thursday or every other Thursday or something. Um, and I ran out of time in a day to keep it rolling. Fun fact, I'm not even subscribed to any YouTube channel. That's fine. You know, it's weird because like as a YouTuber, I'm supposed to be like, hey, you need to subscribe, you need to comment, you need to have a Google account to do this. But I don't know how many of you know, I'm also a real big supporter of tech privacy. I only have a Google account because I'm on YouTube. My phone is de-Googled. It runs a completely Googleless operating system. It has sandboxed apps. There's like a whole 30 apps on it because I'm just a real big proponent of privacy and security. I mentioned earlier that my email domain is @pm.me. That's Proton Mail. So like I really want to be like, hey, everybody subscribe, but I also completely support somebody saying, I don't want a Google account. I'm not going to have subscriptions. No one's going to track what I watch, that kind of stuff. And utilizing stuff like NewPipe, which I'm not going to lie, on my phone, I watch YouTube on NewPipe. So I'm not even mad about it. I can't be. Nier Automata. I do need to play Nier Automata one day, and you keep begging me for it. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Maybe next year I'll finish The Witcher. I got about 20 hours to go in it. That's probably going to take me 8 months. And then I got to finish Disco Elysium because someone gifted that to me. That's the next thing on my plate. Then maybe in 2025, when I have those two massive RPGs done, I'll play Nier for you. I'll stream it. I'll be on Twitch just so you can watch, Damien. I promise. At one point, I remember a spreadsheet of albums you reviewed over the year with small notes. Yes, that has never been made public, primarily because it is a local file. But it is what I'm putting together to keep track of stuff for the AOTY video that'll be out next month, give or take. Where can I find info on viewer song review? Just email me at criticalreactions@pm.me and tell me your band name, the song name you want me to check out, a link to the song. It could be Apple, Bandcamp, or YouTube. And that should be about it. If you have social media links you want to send me, a picture of your band or your logo, if you have those, that really helps with thumbnail making. That's really all you got to send me. Yeah. Do you know when you'll react to some Tesseract again? I don't. The themed videos keep it so that most bands are not applicable for every single week. And special selections, I don't think we have any coming ahead of us with that. Nope, we have no Tesseract for, like 2.5 months here on special selection. By the way, just want to say how much I appreciate the songs you choose to review. Glad it's not just Slipknot and Gojira over and over. I thank the community for that. Because when I started, the first like 10 songs, 15 songs were all popular hits because I was trying to, grow an audience, picking stuff people wanted to see. But I gravitated towards an audience that picked new stuff for me. I mean, it's very possible I could have ended up with an audience like what Charismatic Voice has, or Jeebs, or Lost in, what's that? They were like the OGs. Why can't I think of them? Lost in, I don't remember. Lost in Vegas, is that what they are? Yep, Lost in Vegas. And one of those communities could have hit me and we would have just had stuff that's normal for reaction circles. And no, I got real lucky. I strongly believe that. I got lucky with y'all. Oh, so Pear, in your suggestion, the patrons would still suggest the themes, but everybody would get to vote. That's a nice middle point. Yeah, let me, where's my marker? Let me write that down, just as a thought. That's not a bad idea. Any musical revelation since starting reacting? My musical compositions have shifted a lot. If you've checked out anything on my composition channel in the experimental ideas playlist, you'll hear a lot of metal being paired with my classical background. In fact, I have utilized 16th note strumming. Well, it was on a violin, so bowing, with running it through an amp to get that black metal static kind of sounds with classical stuff around it. Just because, as much as I'm not a big fan of black metal, that technique and that texture it makes is still useful. I'm not a big fan of how black metal utilizes it, but it still does what it does very well, and there's very few other techniques that incorporate it. Just this week I released, I don't think it's on my channel yet, I gotta get it up there, but I released it for the Comp Jam this month. I entered into a bit of chaos because I had written it just after listening to Cassandra Gemini, and I had that TMV chaos in my mind, and I decided to see if I could implement it in my own way, in a facet that made sense to me. And so yeah, sure. Everything that I've written before this channel has all been sheet music. And thanks to this channel, getting to understand more metal and heavier styles of music and different types of production, and beginning to dig into production and learning some of it just on this in this format as well. I've shifted to utilizing an audio workstation and doing my own production and utilizing distortion and compression in my own music. So it's, yeah, definitely 100%. Everything that I've listened to gets incorporated into my own work. Proud to say I don't have an Instagram or TikTok. Same right here. Especially TikTok. I still don't understand. TikTok was banned in the US for a couple of months and then unbanned magically for some reason that is unbeknownst to me, because it's still one of the it sucks up more data than Facebook does, but it is given directly to China. The parent company, ByteDance, something like that. I'm pretty sure any corporation has to report to their findings to the CCP. They're directly linked to that. I don't know why anybody uses TikTok. It just blows my mind. Any chance of a Discord gaming night? We did that a couple of times. We played Among Us way back in the day when it was a patron-only Discord. And again, it comes down to timing. We've tried to set up a couple more. Somebody wanted to do Jackbox, and it's real difficult, I think, to get enough people rolling on it. And of course, the thing with me is that I don't have a lot of opportunities to game uninterrupted. I play a single player game and, I might pause it 10, 15 times in, a 45, 60-minute session, just because there's family things and, my kid wants to do something, or, I got to cook dinner or whatever. And you can't do that with multiplayer. So I tend to not do a lot of multiplaying anyways. But yeah, I'd love to set something, even if I'm not participating, I'd love to set something up like that. 2025. Plenty of time to have the full Nier soundtrack on live streams. Still waiting for me to check out Love Bites. Love Bites is a band that feels like so much wasted potential. That's interesting, because they're a Japanese 4-piece, 5-piece female rock band, right? I got that right? Sounds like that would be right up Damien's alley. And not so. Interesting. Maybe I'll dig it then. Pre-votes on patrons tomorrow to 5 themes and public vote to get the actual theme. Oh, to narrow it down. That's possible too. I'd have to extend it out. We'd have to start polling 3 weeks prior instead of 2 weeks. It's possible. Love Bites power thrash metal. All right. That I didn't know. I knew their makeup. I didn't know their genre. Public votes on themes, but patrons still suggest and vote on the songs. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to combine this, to split the voting up. It's going to be an experimentation process, trying to find the right way to do it. Working for the government, TikTok is off limits. Yeah, 100%. And I was just talking about, I have Graphene OS on my phone, and like I said, it sandboxes everything. There is no app on there that understands that any other app exists. Everything is in its own little pocket. And I still would not install TikTok because it would still find something to grab and transmit. It is just an extremely scary app. Let me see what Exodus says about it. For those who don't know, Exodus Privacy, what is this website called? They scan apps, exodusprivacy.eu.org. They scan apps to find out how many trackers and permissions they require. Or how many trackers are built into it and how many permissions they require from Android. And it's always really scary to grab this stuff and find out. But I'm going to check on TikTok. This is going to be crazy. You love Exodus, yeah. I'm glad there's more privacy-oriented people in here. I think it's super important with the way that there seems to be almost zero overhead or oversight as far as surveillance goes these days. All right, so TikTok has 5 trackers and 73 permissions. Now, not all permissions are bad. It's more about how they're utilized. 73 is just a lot, though. So they have an identification tracker. So some trackers are analytics, um, and some trackers are for log base. So like if your app crashes and it needs to collect some data to send a log to the developers so they know why it crashed and can make a patch. So not all trackers are bad either. But we have 2 Facebook trackers, one for identification. We have a Google tracker for analytics, Apps Flyer, I don't know what that is, and V Contacte, which is a Chinese analytic and identifier tracker. So Google, Facebook, and the Chinese company all get, was it DanceBite? They all get information. It requires a ton of location data. It requires, well, camera permission makes sense because I think you record yourself, so it needs to be able to read your calendar. Why? Record audio, that makes sense. It needs to be able to read your settings. Why does it need to know my device settings? To write to your settings? Yeah, there's a lot of red flags in there for me. You thought V Contacte was Russian. Okay, so that's interesting then. So here's the thing then, is that it doesn't need a separate tracking SDK in order to pull data to send to themselves, but they do send data to Russia, Google, and Facebook, as well as pulling whatever information they can freely. Yeah, that's a bit, yeah, graphene. Jojo spelled it right. It is only for Pixel devices because they have day one security patches from Google. They don't have to go through the carrier or sorry, the hardware manufacturer and then the carrier and then get to you. And they also talked about something about, I don't know, extra security chips. I think Google uses TPM chips on their hardware as well. But yeah, I went and bought a Pixel 4a for like, I don't know, 150, maybe 200 a couple years ago. Um, you know, I'm not gaming on it. I'm not doing anything intensive. Like I said, I only have like 40 apps, so I don't need a powerhouse device. And it's a very simple process. Instead of like needing to know how to unlock fast boot and to install custom ROMs and to install custom recoveries, it's just like a batch file. You double click and it installs it. It's all good to go. Lineage is available for more devices. It is also very private. It also starts Google-less. You would have to install, was it Micro G apps? I forgot what it's called. Um, if you want Google stuff on it. It's not quite as hardened on a security level, but it can be very private. So yeah, 100%. If you don't have a Pixel device, go for Lineage if you can. That is a much harder process though to install, especially if you have a Samsung device. I hate dealing with Samsung devices and Knox and whatever their recovery. No, actually, they use stock Android recovery, don't they? It's just Knox security. That's just irritating to get around. Um, I could go on and on about phones though, and Android in general. I've spent too long modifying these devices. What have I missed now that I've been rambling? Uh, who watches the Watchmen? Yeah, security and privacy, 100%. I think more people should be educated on them. I 100% think that they should also be part of the education system. You know, I think finances should definitely be in there as well, but privacy should be one of the newer classes that are taught in high schools and learning how to control your online identity and online privacy and information. There's just too many people who give it up because they don't understand they're giving it up. You know, it's not like when you sign up for Facebook, it's like, hey, also, we're going to take everything you know about yourself and things you don't know about yourself and construct a carefully crafted profile to sell to people and to utilize to advertise to you. Uh, they don't tell you the dangers up front in clear language like that. We should definitely have better education about that 100%. The whole idea of a network of megacorp sharing user data, it does tear. Dude, like, here's the thing. I had to make a Facebook account to utilize the Oculus Quest, right? Hated it. I gave it completely bogus information, fabricated real name, fabricated address. I went and used one of those one-use phone numbers on online so that I could verify the account, whatever. I did give it a real email address, which nowadays I wouldn't because I have simple login now, so I can circumvent that. But my guess is by having my primary well, I don't even, it might have been my primary email account. When I logged into Facebook that first time after making the account, it still said, hey, you know these people. Would you like to add them? And they were people I went to high school with like 15 years ago. Completely bogus. And oh, also IP address. That might have tipped them off as well. Because they could have used the IP address to tie it back to the other people who live in the house who would not have given them bogus information and maybe got my real location out of that. It's really terrifying. It is the kind of information they have. But if you educate people, how can you spy on them? Yeah, it's. Used to have a Razor phone and really enjoyed it. The only Razor I remember was like the super thin one. The first one that came out, I think it was. That thing was slick. For a flip phone, I mean. Just so cool. I didn't know they were still making stuff though. Why would capitalists teach kids to protect their data? Yeah, I mean, it's sad. It really is sad that this is the state of the world. Man. Luckily, I was on the internet back when privacy was stressed. There's no hope for young people today. It's interesting, too, is because, I was on Web 1.0, bulletin boards and forums, web GeoCities. To me, that was like the heyday. It was the Wild West. You could definitely find some stuff on the internet that should not have been there. That's probably on the dark web nowadays, deep web, whatever it's called. Um, when I grew up, you never tell people your real name and stuff like that. But I don't know, times changed. I feel like I changed with it. I'm still secretive about a lot of stuff. If I'm playing a game, nope, my real name's not going anywhere near there. I will use my handle forever on video games, and forums and stuff like that. But there's a professional side to the internet now where you've kind of got to give your real information sometimes. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a middle ground there that probably shouldn't be as strict as it is if our companies were actually not morally bankrupt. It's also a legitimate strategy to obfuscate changing information per platform. Yep, anything with my real name is incorrect information at some level. Yeah, because all it takes is I think two companies to share anonymized data, and now you have a non-anonymized profile made for you. It is wild. It is, jeez. Razer, like the game. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The new Razer phones. And I am. Oh yeah, because it doesn't have an E. Okay. Yeah, the gaming phones are wild. I remember seeing some of those and cool stuff. I don't know that I would need a 120 hertz phone with like a slide out gamepad or something, but it's very neat for those who have a use for it. My boss in Utah showed up as people I may know. No metal friends, and the only friend I have at work is a work number that doesn't have his name attached to it. Oh, mutual friends. No metal friends. Facebook is unknownst of my metal origins. um, Only banking government got real information. Yeah, now you're considered a weirdo if you don't use your real name and information. It's a different time, that's for sure. Somehow Facebook managed to suggest me someone as a friend that I hadn't seen in 15 years. Impressive and it is. Like Here's the thing is that I don't think it should be scary. A tool to help you reconnect with people who you forgot you had a relationship with should be what tech does. Being able to talk to a robot and ask them to operate your house or put music on with these assistants, that is something I would love to do. It's something that I thought would be really cool when I was a kid. Have a voice automated house, just like Star Trek. But the fact that all of this cool tech is tied to data collection is scary. It's not the way this should have went. We're getting the future we were promised with the massive caveat on it. Um, it I don't know. I don't know how many ways I could say that it terrifies me, and I do all that I can to avoid it. It's not the tech itself is the issue; it's the people that use it. 100%. We could have these like the Amazon Echo or the Echo Show or whatever it is, the screen that allows you to easily call other people and to pull up recipes, in your kitchen or whatever, and that cool Amazon robot that follows you around and scoops stuff up and can bring drinks to people. Like, this is awesome tech. The technology is legit. It's the company and people behind it that scare me. I don't want eyes in my house. I don't want a camera in my house that I know Amazon is mapping. They've already talked about it. Well, no, Facebook talked about it. The Quest Pro, the next headset that Meta is making, the cameras on the outside are going to be used to map your house. Why? Why do they need that? I think that's scarier. But it's definitely not needed for the VR playing. They're just not content with any ceiling of information. There's always something else to gather. The tech is cool, the companies and people aren't. I can get behind that. And the lack of legislation, that is, yeah. Now, granted, the GDPR is doing a lot better than most places. It's still not perfect. It's not as good as it should be, but it's really the only place doing anything aside from not completely, but more private countries altogether. Like Switzerland has pretty good privacy laws in that manner, but there's a lot of it. The UK, I think, is pretty bad. The US is terrible. China's terrible. Um, Pretty much anybody in the Five Eyes is going to be just no legislation, no laws at all. It's completely legal. It's just terrifying. Um, Free country where your information is free. This is how, yep, this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause. Cool Amazon is an oxymoron. I think Amazon does a good job at their in-house stuff. Not their Amazon Basics line, which is all rebranded garbage usually. But I don't think the Fire devices are bad. The Echo line is neat. The Alexa devices are fine. I don't have any problem with the tech itself. And that robot, it's neat. I'd never have any of it though. But I don't think they're a bad tech company. They're a bad data company. Mapping your house could actually help recreate it in VR so you can interact with stuff. Oh, see, my daughter got me into this game called House Dungeon or something, and it took me an entire afternoon of mapping all the walls in the house. And even then, like if the sunlight changes a little bit and it has to reorient the cameras or whatever, it could like mess up all the mapping, and I got to restart the file or whatever. But yeah, just having it automatic, just walk through your house and the levels crafted. See, that's cool. I do not want Facebook being the company that helps me do that though. What was my first band T-shirt? I think it was Linkin Park. And it might have been the only band T-shirt I had. I was not a big fan of band T-shirts. I was a fan of meme T-shirts, anything that was comical or funny. I had a shirt with D2, D3, D4, D6, D10. It said choose your weapon. I had a shirt that said price of a CD, $12, price of a concert, 50, price of downloading it, priceless or something like that. um, yeah, any shirt that could get a chuckle out of someone though. That's the kind of shirts I wore. It is funny though that I have this from Crash the Calm. Because band shirts, like I don't even know how I got the Linkin Park shirt because I would not have bought it for myself. I wanted funny stuff when I was a kid. At least the UK is trying. That's possible. I have not kept up with UK privacy laws because honestly, it's overwhelming trying to keep up with what the US is not doing, and watching anything that's attempted to help or curtail it get completely demolished. But it's good to hear that they're doing something a little better. Yeah, see, same thing. I can see where it's useful. Don't want the company touching it though. Thanks to Amazon, my dirt bike doesn't know if it identifies as Japanese or Chinese. What? My entire fashion sense is just what band do I want to represent today? There was something I decided a couple months ago that I was going to stop advertising for people, and then I realized that buying new shirts was expensive, and that's why I continue to wear the shirts that I do wear. The Pikachu shirt and oh man. Okay, so talking about comedy shirts, I do have one now, don't I? And that's Troublemaker. I should get more stuff like that. I love those shirts, man. A meme t-shirt. Now I know you've been on the internet too long. Yeah, memes. Those are the best, man. Back before things were solidified as the internet. My first t-shirt was Iron Maiden. Oh, Amazon ripped off bike parts from China for a tenth of the price. That sounds very Amazon. I'm going to hit up some of these questions that were asked a couple weeks ago when I announced the Q&A for people who might not been able to make it. One of the questions was favorite musicians. Not necessarily songwriters, but how people play their instruments. I mean, guitar player, I think y'all already know this answer. AJ Minette, the guitarist for what's that band? Oh, Human Abstract. Um, he's got it all. He has a master's degree in classical guitar. He just plays it gorgeously. His dynamic usage is phenomenal. And he just happened to join a metal band, and we didn't get as much of his classical element in the first album. Unfortunately, the third album introduced some more of his classical tendencies. But I do feel most of his work that I find to be most impressive, not technically, but just emotively, has been outside of the Human Abstract. But yeah, he's just got it all. He's a classical musician and he shreds in metal. Just gorgeous stuff. Just checked out Human Abstract. Freaking awesome. Yeah, so all three albums on them is totally different. The first one is like proggy metalcore. And then the second album had a massive lineup shift. AJ Minette felt that he was being pigeonholed into the metal realm. He went back to school to finish out his master's in classical and his minor in classical composition. And so they hired on a keyboardist, which they didn't have before, and a brand new guitarist, and they lost their primary songwriter. AJ was bringing his classical composition element to the band. So it ends up being more of a prog rock album with a lot of variation to it. It is not anywhere near as heavy or riffy or technical as their debut album. After that, they kicked out their lead singer. They brought on Matt Good, I think. No, that doesn't sound right. Who was the other guy from first to last? The other guitarist, not Matt, but the other one. Anyways, he came on as the lead singer. AJ came back. They had a brand new bassist and a brand new drummer for this third album, and it is a lot heavier. This is the heaviest stuff they've written. All three albums, though, are phenomenal. So, yeah. I just, that band's just good. Consistently good. My favorite musician is Jordan Rudess. I'm not familiar with that name. I mean, I kind of am. It's ringing a bell, but I don't know what from. The two guitars from Between the Buried and Me are pretty much my two favorites for different reasons. Paul knows how to write a lead, and Dusty knows how to make an atmosphere. Come to think of it, everyone at Between the Buried and Me are my favorites. I mean, they're a solid band. They got the composition chops, which I think have matured over the years, at least into moving away from highly abrasive into more conservative styles of composition. They're still eclectic in aspects, but they're reaching a point where they're more palatable to a conservative palate, like my own. Um, and you know, the musicianship technically has always been there, but of course there's always room to improve, and I'm sure they have. Christian also asked about my favorite bassist and drummer. I don't know. I'm trying to think of even a bassist or drummer whose name I know. I don't think I can name a favorite of either of those, which is kind of sad, honestly. There's got to be some bassist I've aspired to being. I picked up the bass. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's that dude from Dirty Loops. Is that it? Dirty Loops? Yep, Dirty Loops. That bassist is phenomenal. I don't know if I'd call him my favorite, but he's the first one that's popping up in my head as far as both technical playing and just all around maturity and understanding his guitar. We can go with that one. I'll stop rambling about Between the Buried and Me. I like their abrasive stuff more, their run of colors to Great Misdirect, Parallax. Richie Blackmore. Oh, also played on Deep Purple. All right. Les Claypool. Someone was going to say it. Paul McCartney. I can. Oh, Les. Yeah, Les I can see on bass. I don't think I've heard enough of Les on bass to really understand it. He's got an eclectic style, from what I've heard. Technically impressive, but not somebody I would say is my favorite at this point. Muzz Skillings from Living Color? Yeah. Oh, Flea, yeah. Flea's good. I think Flea has more power than he shows because he plays in a pop band, pop rock. Um, I think he shows a lot of maturity in his compositions, that's for sure. I think on a technical level, though, he's got chops he doesn't show off very often. I don't know who Thundercat plays for. Davey504. I only know him as the meme guy. I assume he's got chops, but I have no idea what his playing style is like. Favorite drummers from Mastodon? Missed the conversation about, yep. Honestly, not that long ago, if you want to chime in. We're talking about favorite musicians at this moment, which is where that conversation started from. Lee Skeller. Any plans to review Ms. Moore's Yod album? Not at the moment. Not at the moment. Things are going to change next year. So it might pop up, but currently all the album reviews are selected from patrons, and that is not in the poll at the moment. So there's no current plans for it, but that could change starting in January. We were talking about favorite musicians, and I brought up a whole band. I gotta check out Evan Brewer's album. Oh, speaking of drummers. Dang, I just had it. What? There is a melodic drummer, and I cannot think of what band and I don't know his name. I don't know people's names often. Dang, that's gonna annoy me. Davey was good till he turned into the bass PewDiePie. I wish I could get into those comedy music channels. There are a couple skits, and I'll be like, yeah, that's good. You know, get a chuckle out of me and maybe a nice hearty guffaw. But for me, they just don't have lasting power. And I don't know if that's just because I'm a dry person who doesn't like fun or what. Well, shook the whole world. But yeah, I don't mind the occasional link given to me, but I can't subscribe and watch them all, or even parse through the titles to figure out if I'd want to watch it. I don't know what it is about it. What band has been referenced the most but not reviewed yet? I don't know. I feel like all of the big ones I've eventually gotten to because after like 30 or 40 requests, I'll end up just doing a bonus video on some random Saturday for them. Granted, it's not something I do too often, but I think the ones that have just been heavily requested, I've ended up doing a bonus one for. Tool? What is that? I've never heard of them before. Maybe I should check out a song and see what they're all about. Between the Buried and Me still holding as favorite band and individual musicians. Yeah. I mean, they're good. I got to get around to their older stuff. Having checked out Colors and Self-Title, it's kind of tossed me off from them. But I keep hearing good things about Parallax and Colors too. And there's one of them. It's either their second to newest or third to newest. That they said that I've been told they kind of go for a more palatable design on it. That would probably work better for me. Much better music comedy out there, to be honest. Because, like, I've checked out Jared Dines. I've checked out that Barry, something Barry. Um, I think he's a guitarist. K-Mac, I've seen a couple videos of. Davey, I've seen. It's just. I I don't even want to say it to them. I don't listen, I don't subscribe to anything comical like that. Almost everything I watch on YouTube is video essays. It's all informational in some capacity. Parallax 2 and Great Misdirect might be the one I was thinking of. Melodica Bros. Now, see, I like them. They have a sense of humor, but it's done so in covers. I don't think that changes much, though. Why would that change things? Maybe it's because the comedy is, to me, second to the music. I don't know. On the other hand, though, I'm also not subscribed to them, and I don't watch them often. So maybe they do sit on that side of the spectrum. Just maybe not as far as someone say K-Mac. Christian Vander from Magma. Oh, no, I mean, I don't know if I'd list him as my favorite drummer, but definitely a really great melodic drummer is Vader. Old school. I don't even know if he's still doing stuff, but he used to do drum covers of mostly melodic stuff. Right? I remember one specifically, he did like a medley of Super Mario themes and played drums to them, but the drumming wasn't just keeping time. Most of it was being an additional melodic source to it. Let me see if I can find a link to that. It's old. It's got to be at least 15 years. Let's see. Oh, it was Vay Drum. Oh, 15 years ago, exactly. Yeah, so, I don't know how loud this is going to be. Oh, I can't even hear it. Yeah. Yes, I don't know if I'd say he's my favorite drummer, but I do really enjoy everything he's done. It's so tasty. Like, it's just a hair into the overplaying element, but it's so tasteful. Yeah. Again, I don't know if I'd say that he's my favorite, but definitely a good melodic drummer that comes to my mind. All it takes is one person to bring up Between a Buried and Me, and that's all chat talks about. Crotch Duster's the best comedy death metal parody group out there. I wonder. I was gonna say, I wonder if they go for more like traditional skits and turn it into like a series instead of just the weekly video. Because I do enjoy musical comedy. In fact, Crotch Duster right there just reminded me of Metalocalypse, which I absolutely adore. But it's something about, I don't know if it's their humor, which doesn't always hit, or if it's just, I think somebody had mentioned that humor's content, yeah, bolded. It can't really make it into routine. It's got to be something you stumble upon, like a meme or a joke, rather than something you tune into every week for. Maybe that anticipation is what ruins it for me. Coma Eclectic is a metal opera, and then Automata's Part 1 and 2 are more modernly sensible dream theater. Dream theater hits me weird. I want to like them, I really do. I think they're impressive musicians, and occasionally they can write really great stuff, but overall, nothing I've heard of them hits me in a way that I need to listen to more of. It almost feels like they move a little bit too far into the technical aspect and they lose the soul of the music, unfortunately. For all the praise that I gave Stream of Consciousness and for its adherence to the theme, it's not something I'd ever listen to again. Favorite drummers Danny Carey from Tool and Bill Bruford from King Crimson. 100%. Both of them are solid. Hi, Brian. Love that Demilich reaction. Welcome to the live stream. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That was a fun one, for sure. Brian might also like Coma the most. It's most classically composition conservative. See, here's the weird thing, is that if you give me something conservatively composed, my chances of enjoying it are increased. If you give me something a bit more eclectic, I'm not going to dislike it automatically. It's sort of a roll of the dice. Pear picked up on something the other, was it Thursday when we did Ender Shikari? He said that he heard a lot of similarity with TMV. There is a lot of dissonance and chaos and overlapping lines in that Enter Shikari track, but it really landed for me. And I can't disagree with that. Maybe there's a level of severity of chaos that I can accept. Maybe it's specific guitar tones or overall atmospheres. So I mean, Coma might be a really safe bet for me if it is more classically compositioned. But that's not to say that some of the more nonsensical stuff is guaranteed to bounce off of me. I just wish I could have a metric so you guys could possibly know if you were attempting to give me something I'd enjoy. To be like, yeah, this is the kind of chaos I like, and this is the kind of chaos I don't want to hear. Hard to find a better drummer out there than Lewis Cole. Lewis Cole's a good one. In fact, given that the question was specifically guitar bass drums, kind of put me in that rock metal mindset. I wish I had paid more attention to other jazz instrumentalists. Like jazz trumpet, I got a bunch of people to look up to. And I spent a lot of time digging into the works of, Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis, a little bit of Wynton Marsalis when he dug into jazz a bit. I've always kind of viewed him as more of a classical one, but he did have a little bit there. Um, but when it came to other instruments, I didn't care. I never even looked into them. But I'm sure there's some phenomenal jazz drummers that I would definitely put above a lot of metal or rock drummers, just as far as my preference in drumming style goes. So yeah, that's a shame. I wish I had names for those. It's very, at least for me, embarrassing to be like, "What's your favorite bassist?" And I'm like, ah, that dude who does the boom boom ba boom bit. It's just what is this remove your hat deal? I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. You got to explain yourself though. I don't want to go banning people, but I will. Why does this feel like a troll? Yep, that is unfortunate, but I suppose it's gonna happen. I was gonna say now that we're getting bigger, we've hit 26,000, but yeah, we did. We hit 26,000 subscribers recently. This was supposed to be the 25,000 Q&A. I really wanted to, and if we had done it a couple weeks ago when we were supposed to, it would have been still in the 25,000 mark. I'm kind of mad. I don't remember what pushed it. Was it the? It wasn't the hurricane, was it? Oh, it was my kid getting sick. That's what it was. Yep, that's what made me push it back. What about Weird Al? Weird Al is another thing. I could not listen to an entire album, but in isolation, I don't mind picking up a track or two just for a bit of a comic relief. Definitely something that, much like Bolid said, works better unexpectedly. Not something I go out of my way to listen to. I gotta be in the mood for Dream Theater. Yeah, same here. Is your whole house so empty and unfurnished? Okay, so I don't own a house. I rent a couple of rooms in the back of my mom's house, and I am just a massive minimalist. I don't own anything. Okay. Oh, Cliff Burton, actually. Again, I don't know if I'd put him at the top, but Cliff is a good bassist. Anyways, yeah, I don't own anything. I don't want to own anything. I am a huge proponent of space. I like having space. In fact, something clicked in me like 2 weeks ago, and I started documenting all of the media I have. Console games, Blu-rays, DVDs, music CDs, and I'm like, I don't use any of this. Maybe I should sell it. So, yeah, I don't like clutter. I don't like having things. So my room is a closet with my cooking stuff in it and my clothes and bookcases and board games and food. That's it. Outside of my closet is my desk and a couch that turns into a bed. And that's it. The rest of my room is empty. My kid's room, though, is what you would expect a kid to have. So there's something about being at that age between like 7 and 15 where you finally begin to realize that you can own things and have things, and there's control in that you don't really have because adults still control your life, and you just kind of start collecting things. And my kid collects so much stuff. So you have us. I do. And the nice thing, I mean, in a sense, is that you all are kind of digital to me. Much like I don't mind collecting video games or digital movies or anything like that because it's all data. It doesn't take up physical space. I don't mind collecting, in a sense, 26,000 subscribers and being able to chat with y'all every day about music and whatnot because it doesn't take up space other than the tiny computer I got. So, yeah, I mean, I'm, I don't mind having such a large following. It doesn't take up space until it does. Like when we do Critical Con in 20 years. That's going to take up space. Gotta catch them all. Subscriber mon. Nish is another bot. Yep, Nish is definitely a bot. Dude, Criticon is it's something. I'm going to do it before I die. I don't care if all of it's out of pocket. I don't care if I go bankrupt doing it. I talked about this on stream once, I think, but it is a music festival with the panels of a convention where maybe you go watch your favorite bands on stage and then they do a Q&A panel like an hour later and you can go sit in a nice convention hall and do a Q&A with them, or also having producers on there to, show people how to, their process of making music, answering production questions, talent scouts up there doing Q&As or panels or whatever to tell people coming up in music what kind of stuff they want to make. Or no, let me reword that. What kind of stuff they should be making if they want to catch the eye of a talent scout, if they want to get into what is it, a label, right? I want all the cool aspects of a convention mixed with a music festival. I want to do that in my life. This is Criticon. It's not something that exists. It's something I'm going to bring into reality sometime. My goal, my hopes, is that something I do eventually allows me to have this type of financial freedom to go through this venture. Seems Criticon already exists, some critical media care convention in India. I might have to do a reword then. Critical Con. Honestly, it'd probably be something like Music Con. I don't know if I necessarily want to tie it to my brand. I kind of want it to be for everybody because Critical Con kind of sounds like it's for fans of critical stuff. And while there is the critical element with the panels and stuff like that, the Q&A sessions and meet and greets and whatnot, I do kind of want a fun side to it all. I don't know. I got 2 decades, 3 decades to figure out the logistics of it. um, Scroll back up, see what I was missing. So Al, I mean, Al's a good accordionist. Somebody asked my thoughts on Weird Al, and I think I answered this. I don't remember. Critical reactions with your host Brian Kahn. Criticon sounds like the player haters ball from Chappelle's show. Unfortunately, I don't get the reference, but I think I get the gist of it. I don't understand why critics are so negatively viewed. I wonder how much of it is that critics typically have a different opinion of the art than your general consumer. Like when you think of movie critics, you think of Ebert and that other guy Roper, I think, and they're thumbs up, thumbs down, and they usually thumbs up art house kind of stuff and thumbs down popcorn flicks, and you create this divide between your average consumer and your film critic. But I think critics are a very important aspect of advancing an art form. I wish more people would be open-minded to the words of critics, even if they disagree with general opinion. The word critic has a negative sound. Does it? I mean, I guess it depends on where you come. Like I just mentioned, if your idea of a critic is the guy who thumbs down the fun popcorn flicks, then yeah, critic might be a negative thing. But to me, it's just somebody who criticizes. You know, in academia, my composition critics were my professors. They were helping me figure out what was working and what wasn't working. That's what a critic does. They analyze the work and explain the great stuff and explain why some of the stuff doesn't work, why the song isn't as why it doesn't hit at minute 3 anymore. Yeah, it's nice to get a critical strike in RPGs. Fun story. My the whole critical thing actually came from my username that I use in video games called Critical Composer. And it is one that I am critical of my own compositions, but in video games I tend to like taking characters like rogues or rangers who get high critical hit ratios and chances. So I was somebody who composed critical hits. And so the critical thing just kind of stuck around and it became my thing. Art is subjective, 100%. I want to bring up my favorite thing about Coma Eclectic, but I don't want to spoil the album. Uh, spam, spam, spam. You should check out the legendary fusion bassist Jaco Pastorius. I probably should. There's a lot of really good bass work that I probably check out. Oh, geez, why would you do that? YouTube's chat just like flipped around for me. All right, I might have missed some stuff. I apologize. Oh, Adam Neely. He's a good bass. I don't know if I'd put him as one of my top, but he's pretty good. I saw his completely improvised set. The video he did on that. I don't think he had the whole set on there, but the bits that were in there were pretty neat. I'm showing my age here, but I saw Cliff Burton live during Master of Puppets in '86. Wow. I bet that was phenomenal. Favorite board game? Mine is Risk. So my favorite board game... geez, which one do I pick? It depends. My favorite board game designer is Reiner Knizia. Everything he builds is phenomenal. I'm a huge fan of his well, now it's called Atlanteon because it got a Atlantis themed revision from Fantasy Flight, I think is who distributed it in the States. But it was originally called Revolution. It was about the French Revolution, I think. Marvelous game. Absolutely love it. I also love his Lord of the Rings cooperative game. The thing about Reiner Knizia that I always find fascinating is that he tends to put in multiple winning conditions so that no player is ever going for the exact same goals and doing the exact same actions. Depending on how you want to win, what your play style is, there's usually a path to victory through that. Yeah, he's got such a mind for it. It is so good. So yeah, I mean, I guess maybe Lord of the Rings. Memoir 44 is really good. Oh, speaking of Memoir 44, what is that? Squad Leader. Yes, the squad leader is so good. It is completely in depth. The manual is probably about 200 pages thick, and it's a series of like 15 scenarios to play through as each scenario teaches you a new set of rules. It's a World War II simulator, basically. It includes things like technically sanity checks, breaks. If you shoot at a squad, you roll to see if you hit. You roll to see what you hit, if you hit them. Even if you don't hit them, they have to roll to see if they've mentally broken from it. And once they do that, you have to roll to see if any of the specific squad mates are going to attempt to break from the squad itself and run off on their own. There's shots of opportunity where if you cross the eyesight of a squad, they get a free shot on you. Um, there's all sorts of rules for equipment, how many people are required to carry equipment. Uh, it's so good. It is so good. Taskmaster is my favorite board game. Taskmaster is something I saw, I think, at the stores the other day. It's interesting seeing more European board games showing up in places like Walmart and Target. I never would have thought that. It's always been Hasbro and Milton Bradley for the longest time. It's very cool to see. I mean, they're the more popular stuff. It's like Catan, um, and stuff like that. But also, we're getting some really great stuff from Fantasy Flight and Avalon. No, Avalon Hill's old. What's the other one that does like really massive ones these days? Anyways, the World War II game is phenomenal. It's so good. And like each soldier from each, like there's different soldier types for each region as well. So like Russian soldiers don't act like European soldiers or American soldiers do. They all have their own sorts of special rules to them. It's so, and then they made an advanced squad leader, ASL, with more rules to it. uh I never played a lot of it. I think my dad and I got about 6 or 7 scenarios in, and my dad collected board games. He had well over 1,000 at one point. Um, and there's just you can't keep playing squad leader for an entire year. You gotta give something else a try. A lot of Euro style games try to trick you into to learning stuff. That's one of the things I love. Advanced squad leader? Yeah, they made an advanced version of it. All right. Let me catch up on some of the older stuff. Dang, YouTube, seriously, man. Just because I'm scrolling down and I'm close to catching up does not mean I need you to immediately go back down to the... I don't need my hand held. What is it with YouTube trying to hold my hand? Currently, I'm critiquing of critics caused all seams brought out. Because they all seems brought out. Gotcha. It depends on the field. Yeah, I can agree with that as well. It's nice to get a critical strike in RPGs. It really is. In being English, I never heard of Ebert other than a Bad Touch. Interesting. I mean, not so much anymore, but certainly in the 80s, 90s, in the US at least, it was almost impossible to have any film discussion without him coming up. He was probably the most prominent film critic for a long time. And in part, the word criticism took on a negative connotation. Yep. People tying their personalities to things, 100% agree with that. I really like the tagline, be critical, not cynical. Thank you. I actually didn't come up with that. I was trying to figure out taglines. I wanted to showcase something about critical in it and the positivity. And someone in the community hit me with that one. And I was like, that's it. That's it. Critique sounds neutral, but criticize sounds negative. I think a lot of that comes into positive rhetoric as well. I don't think criticize was always a negative connotation, but certainly 90s, when I was growing up, I could feel a negativity to it, but I think historically it's not always been a negative word. Not the Cynicon. Like how amateur got a bad connotation. From 100%. Some words don't need it. Oh, it's pronounced Giaco. That makes sense. I tend to internalize critiques of my faves, but I'm working on it. Yeah. It's always good to grow and figuring out where our faults are as people and learning to work on them. Which I feel like I've tried to be a bit of a I put myself on display on that as well. If you go back and watch some of my earlier stuff, I'm very cynical. I am not as cynical as I could be, but I do look down on a bit of the music, and I was coming off of that classical academia element where pop music was bad, rock music was bad. Um, I've changed. I've found problems with myself and have fixed them. It's definitely something we all need to do. Why is my God, that one side of my nose? I'm just chop it off or something. It won't itch anymore. Discovered a lot of great stuff listening to you through your reactions, and your followers have superb suggestions. 100%. 1 hour later and 50 die rolls. Do we get to do a second action? Good stuff. Oh, speaking of Risk, I forgot to talk about this. If you like Risk, I highly suggest tracking. It's probably going to be a bit expensive now, but tracking down a game called Attack. Let me look this up on Board Game Geek real quick. Attack is like Risk, but advanced. You have resource cards for like oil and personnel and stuff like that. And when you spend it, you don't just buy general forces. You have artillery, you have tanks, you have aircraft, and you have troops. And it's pretty much Risk. Everybody starts at a different place, and the point is militaristic conquering. But it's more in depth than Risk is, and I highly suggest it. However, be ready. My dad and I played a 2-player game that took us a weekend, and we weren't slouches either. We were putting 2-3 hours in a day. It sat on that table for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I don't even remember if we finished it. We might have packed it up because I'd go back to my mom's on Sunday. But yeah, Attack. I'm not a big Risk fan, but Attack I would play. Anyone ever heard of the board game Coup? I have not. This channel actually helps. Yeah. World War II game sounds awesome. Yeah. Alright, so now I'm catching back up to where I was when we were talking about Squad Leader. I bought a board game of Finnish Civil War. I hope to be able to play it soon. I am right there. So, like I said, my dad had thousands of board games. My sister is working on selling them now since my dad's passed, and there's just a lot of stuff in there that we just don't have any intention of playing. Um, I snagged a couple to add to my own collection, but honestly, I didn't even pick as many as I would have liked. Primarily because I don't have anyone to play with. It's so much easier to play online with something like Tabletop Simulator, in which case you don't need to own physical board games for that. I have a lot of board games, more family oriented now, that I play with my kid. But I mean, if I want, I can't play Lord of the Rings with her. That's way too complex. We've played HeroScape before. Um, we've played Star Wars Epic Duels. We haven't played Transformers Armada, which is a shame because it's Star Wars Epic Duels with a Transformer skin, and I think I'm gonna love that. Um, but I have gotten her to play Starship Catan, which is a fairly in-depth Euro board game. So I have hopes that maybe as she gets a little older, I can introduce her to some of these more complex ones. But Starship Catan is it's fairly in-depth, and she's got a good grasp on it aside from how to win, because it is all about uh, buying high and selling low to create resources, or yeah, to make resources and money to upgrade your ship until you can win. But yeah, I don't have a gaming group. We used to. High school, we had I had 3 buddies, and about twice a month we would have, we called them sleepovers, but we'd come over, we'd all bring computers, and we would LAN party, but we'd also do board games and stuff. And yeah, like 30 times a year, we'd all get together and just game all night. And then college happened, and everybody went their own way. So haven't really had a gaming group since then, unfortunately. I totally despised pop and metal as a young prog fan. Yeah, I think we've all been there. You know, I'm a huge fan of pop now. I'm still not, I don't love everything, but I give pop an actual shot. And I found some stuff that's really worked for me. But 10 years ago, nah, I would never even tried it. You should come check out Gen Con in Indianapolis one of these years. Biggest board game convention in the world. I'd love to. For a long time, I did MegaCon down here in Orlando, but it's everything. It's board games, video games, anime, comic books, films. If it's nerdy or geeky, it's there. And the jack of all trades thing is nice, but it's not as focused as I would like. Everything just kind of ends up being a bit general to it. I'd love for a board game con though. That'd be cool. Oh yeah, free games online. I've been to Gen Con in Indy. Oh, cool. Not a big gamer though. SPPD. I don't know what that is. Mortal Kombat though. You know, it's funny. I picked up Mortal Kombat 10, I think it was, recently. I think it was during the horror sale, maybe, on Steam. Haven't even installed it though. I don't even know why I bought it. I was just like, man, I'm missing some Mortal Kombat 'cause I played 1, 2, and 3 on my Genesis so much as a kid. Ah, not enough time in a day, man. Me and my neighbors played Axis and Allies. Yep, that's another good war one. I don't think I played the World War One edition though. 14 hours and we almost managed to finish it. Risk Godstorm. I think I played Godstorm. I think a buddy had it in high school, but I don't. If I did play it, it didn't have a big impact on me. But if it's more complex than classic Risk, I'm down. Have you ever been into concerts and festivals? Good old day of LAN parties. Yes, there is a festival that was in Orlando, still going actually, called Earth Day Birthday, run by Clearwater. So it's radio rock. Uh, Noon to midnight though. I've done that 3 or 4 times now. Um, I don't know if I could do it anymore. I'm starting to feel the age, but yeah, when I was a teen, I used to do that. All right, Pascal, have a good rest of your day. All right. Checked out some of the earliest videos. The difference in attitude compared to now is definitely noticeable, but it was never as bad as many. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely, like I said, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but I feel like I had a bit of arrogance in the old days. Especially, I feel on the very first one, the Selena Gomez one. I went into the popular music videos tab on YouTube and just grabbed the top song. And I feel like I was very critical in that. A little cynical as well. And nowadays, if we organize, it's a cooking and barbecue party with some party games. My buddies and I, my high school ones, we keep in contact. We have a Discord for just the three of us. One of us is no longer a part of our friendship, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, the three of us, we still play online games often, but we got together for the first time in like 10 years, 11 years or something, uh, a few summers ago. And dude, that was a blast. And yeah, it was all party games. Like I brought some of the classics, some of the more complex stuff, but we ended up just playing Munchkin, House on Haunted Hill. But yeah, like I totally feel that nowadays it's not about complexity or, anything like that. It's just about having fun. I didn't like a lot of pop artists, but the ones I do, I really love. Yeah, I can feel that too. There's some pop artists that just work. Red Dead Redemption 2. I've tried. I can't get into Rockstar's games. I don't know. There's something about them. especially Red Dead. Like, I understand it's rooted and grounded and probably a compelling narrative, but it's just not my cup of tea. My 26-year-old son's playing Yu-Gi-Oh at international levels. That's phenomenal. South Park Phone Destroyer. Ah, those if that's the type of game I'm thinking of, those little addictive bite-sized 10-minute play sessions, sometimes longer than that. I can see that. There's a maturation arc for Prog fans. Yep. And I could probably I think I fall into that too. Because, talking about AJ Minette, when I started getting into heavier metal stuff, and the Human Abstract was certainly the heaviest thing I had ever listened to at the time when Nocturne came out. Anytime I talked about the band, it was always the shredding, and of course the sweep picking, which I feel like at the time AJ was probably the best at. Everybody else had a bit of muddiness, but his was just ridiculously clean. And nowadays Nocturne's a good album, but it's not my favorite. I much more enjoy the emotional aspects of the Black Sheep album they have, their second one that nobody seems to like, because it's the least technically proficient but the most emotionally engaged. So yeah, I can follow in that too. Dominion, a deck. I love deck building. Any sort of theory crafting, I'm there. Even if I never play the game, I will build decks for them. We used to play the Score created. I think Score was the company that made it. Dragon Ball Z, back in the late '90s, early 2000s. Never played a lot of it, but I loved building decks. It's so good. Jomama, welcome. We're talking about everything and anything. It started out as a Q&A, and now it's just a general conversation about board games and music. I've always wanted to say your hair is glorious. Thank you. I feel like it's I feel like my grandfather right now, actually. His hair was always like this, just sort of up and helmet head kind of. I don't mind when I spike it. I like that a lot better than this. But yeah, when it's longer, things. I put a lot of effort into. I mean, part of it is genes. I'm not gonna lie. I got good hair genes in my family, but I also do put a lot of work into buying the right product for it and stuff like that. I appreciate the comment. I started off as a metal fan for Prog, and now I mainly listen to Prog. Yep, when people are younger, there's a bit. Yeah, I don't even know if it's so much about just growing out of a specific musical phase as much as just getting older. Now, that's not to say everybody who gets older ends up being more accepting, but I just joined. Oh, yeah, I already talked about that. Most modern pop music is boring. It can be. It can. You got to listen for something else, though. If you're listening to pop music with a metal ear, you're not going to enjoy it. Same thing if you listen to metal with a pop ear. You gotta learn how to enjoy it on its own, which is the same for any genre. I mean, I've kind of acclimated to metal, but it took me a long time to start listening to black metal on its own, and I still am not great at it. You really got to develop the ear, though. Synaps, welcome. Um, Pop lends itself to multiple writers. Yeah, there's definitely a. Sometimes I feel too many cooks that ends up oversimplifying something, which is the opposite of what too many cooks usually does. But too much gets shaved off in a lot of pop music. But as long as you're there for it, you understand that it's going to be a safer, more palatable thing, and just feel the groove or even the lyrics sometimes, as cheesy or as non-confrontational as they might be. You gotta lean into what they're doing if you want to enjoy it. Classic rock, yeah. I was so cringe when I first got into prog. Weren't we all? Technical abilities, all that matters. Nothing else is worthwhile. Most music's garbage. Yeah, we were all there at one time. GTA Vice City was the best Rockstar game. I'm a huge fan of GTA 2. I finished 3 in Vice City. And I think that was the last time I played a Rockstar game, because after that they started aiming for realism, and I just wasn't there for it. 4 never hit me. 5 I never tried. Red Dead I never played. Y'all ever play Rockstar Table Tennis, though, on the Xbox? That might be their crowning achievement. Yeah, I'm trolling there, by the way. They pretend they're role-playing games, but the role you can play is violence. I can follow that. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I can follow that. Never finished a GTA game, ruined every single one of cheat codes. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh, Michael King, the last one I played was GTA 2. All right, we're on the same page there. GTA 2 is so good. I was waiting for someone to pull up Bully. I know a lot of people really love Bully. Am I into D&D? Yes and no. I've played my fair share of 3.5. I enjoy games based on 3.5. I love Neverwinter Nights. I'm not a big fan of D&D 1.0 or AD&D, what was eventually called 2.0, and 4th edition I kind of got into a little bit, wasn't a big fan. I have not played 5th edition, 5th edition, and I don't have a group anymore, so I'm going to say no now, but maybe before I might have been a fan. Red Dead 2 is amazing, but a slow start. I used to play DBZ. Glad to hear another one. I'm glad I don't have a hat to take off. Oh man, should I do it? I don't feel like getting up. I started off a stream one time with like a Macho Man Randy Savage voice and a backwards cap and like red sunglasses. I pulled out Dude Bro Brian. What does my shirt say? It says Crash the Calm. It's a band that we actually had on for Creator Week, and they're I can't really see it. Anyways, it's the name of their album. It's like Welcome to Nowhereville or something. It's pretty good, folky, punky, post-hardcore. Weird cross-section between the three of them. But they sent me a shirt for checking out their music, which was very nice of them. What is good pop? The first album I will tell any rock or metal enthusiast to check out in the pop realm is Lady Gaga's Fame Monster. It is what really got me into pop music. It is a phenomenal, other than Alejandro. I'm not a big fan of Alejandro, but the other 7 tracks are really great. There's a darkness in them that I think a lot of rock and metal heads will gravitate to. It's still a poppy album. It's still bright in places. It's dancey, but there's a darkness to most of the tracks. There's also a very Queen-inspired 5-minute rock track in it that is my favorite. It's called Speechless. Really well done. I think that's a good place to start. Today, though, I'd probably tell you to check out Demi Lovato's new one, Holy Fuck. It is so good. It is probably going to be my AOTY this year. And granted, it is not a full-on pop album. It's pop rock at best, but Demi brings some of the best pop vocals and pop production to these pop rock songs. So that might be a good place to transition to. It's kind of poppy, but mostly rocky. Let me see this. All right, I have someone at my door. If you guys will give me 5 minutes, I'll be right back. Let's get back to this. Man, what have I missed? Oh, Baldur's Gate 3. I am not as excited about that as I think I should be, mostly because Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 were based on version 2.0 of D&D, and like I said, I never really got into them. So I kind of assume Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be more like 1 and 2, and it's just kind of been off my radar. Are we going to react to Vector's Terminal Redux? Probably. That's an album, right? I thought GTA 4 was an incredibly poignant statement about the American dream. Yes, I can agree with that. Gameplay wise, it's not for me, but the themes of the story I think are. It's a good story. More so than 3 or Vice City, which seem to just kind of emulate gangster films of various eras. 5, I don't even know what 5 is really about. But 4, I think, was probably their most biting social critique that wasn't just punching down. I think 4 is probably the best one they've done. I haven't seriously gamed since I was 10 or 11. Oh, since I spent 10 or 11 years of my life playing Final Fantasy 11. It'll do that. Watch out for 14. Yeah, Lady Gaga's. Definitely. It's not... okay, I'm not going to tell you it's not going to be painless. But I hope... I like Alejandro. It's not catchy to me. It really isn't. I wish it was. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be a painless listen, but I think you might enjoy it more than most pop. It's harder to find truly happy pop music these days. Yeah, I mean, especially from my limited experience listening to what's on the radio. Billie Eilish is definitely influencing. Maybe she was influenced by this direction, but she's definitely pushed more and more pop music into a darker area. And even if it is sort of a faux darkness, it's still not the bright poppy stuff we're used to. Dang, all these people really liking Alejandro. I am the odd man out on this one. So I do need to make some music for this. One time I did start when it said, the stream will be starting soon at the beginning. I played it. I improvised a piece over it, and I wanted to do more of that, and I just haven't, which is sad. But I do need to make something for the Be Right Back screen, 100%. My biggest worry with Baldur's Gate 3 is it'll be too slavish to D&D. I have heard a lot of good of Divinity. My buddies keep trying to get me to play it, but like I just told you guys, I don't get a lot of time to game. Like the next 20 hours of Witcher is going to take me 8 months easy. This 20 hours took me all year. um, and I can't, they wanted to play co-op with me, and I can't guarantee I'll be in as often as they want me to, so I haven't even bought it. Best Western RPG since Dragon Age Origins. That's pretty big right there. How'd this topic go to games and music at the same time? Dude, it's what the community does. When I made the Discord, it originally had a music channel and an off-topic channel, and that was it. And the first 2 new channels on the Discord server were board games and video games. It's where the community goes every time. I don't pretend to understand, and at this point, I'm afraid to ask. It's just what we do. I honestly thought it was something relegated to just the Discord community, but it's just the nerddom in this entire community, I think. Anyone ever listen to Barrack Project? Italian prog rock. Sounds fun. Well, we've checked out a couple Italian prog bands, maybe. And they've always been consistently good. There's something about prog or rock bands at all from that area that I think continue to impress me. Michael Jackson had a grittier take on pop for sure. And, you can't understate his contributions to where pop went. Saw your review of Pogo stuff and felt like you weren't handed his most interesting stuff. Okay. Dragon Age Origins had too many moments of edginess and old school design for old school things. I will agree. DAO has not aged well in the story writing department. But I'm a huge fan of old school design for old school design's sake, so that game felt right at home for me. That's not to say that I didn't like the second one either. When they advanced a lot of stuff into a more modern take, I was fine with that as well. I know a lot of people hated the second game, but I'm a huge fan of old school stuff. Divinity's a slow burn, yeah. Justin's Justified is another stellar gateway pop type. I haven't heard that one yet. I might have to check it out. Because Justin, man, he can write some bangers. I'm not a big pop fan, but every time I hear something he's written, it gets stuck in my head. And that's a good sign. I mean, Cry Me a River is iconic. It's so good. There needs to be an entire thread for Between the Buried and Me in Discord. That's so. As a thought, you make a good point there. I don't know if it's necessarily about being snarky, but it's definitely in the communities that I feel like people tend to think that people will just understand metal, and I have certainly been on this side of discussions where I am convinced that the band I like is so good because of their technicality and skill and composition that anybody who listens to it is just going to get it. And I have played music for people and they're like, this is garbage. And I'm like, the elitism starts to come out at that moment. But, you know, metal, just like any album is something, or just like any music, is something that requires an ear and an understanding. And an entry level metal album is something that we should discuss. I think it's going to be really difficult to find one within a metal community, but it's not a bad thing at all. I think your community would have a field day just purely discussing Between the Buried. Got to play more Divinity 2. I'm playing my first house show later. Nice. Any advice? None. I wish I could tell you that it would be simple and that you can just follow these three directions and you'll have a fantastic first show, but honestly, do whatever it is you need to do to calm yourself and just deal with the stage fright and anxiety as it comes up. I, I mean, by the time I had started playing rock music and doing concerts, I had been playing trumpet in a band on stage for 7 years. And I think there's something about being a faceless sound within a large group on a stage that really helps you ease into playing music in front of people. So that after 7 years of that, playing on a stage is just normal. So that if you end up being a smaller group like a rock band, it's not as it's not as anxiety filled because you've been doing it for so long. So unfortunately, I'm not the best person to ask for that. Azathoth is 100% though. Don't sweat the mistakes, the audience or people. First of all, they'll understand, but second of all, your audience is not musicians. They're not going to know you made a mistake. As long as you don't make a face like ugh, or you look disappointed in yourself, as long as you just keep playing, nobody will even know. That's the best part about it. And that's really the best tip I can give to anybody playing live. Don't show your mistakes on your face. Other than that, just have fun. You're going to be anxious. You just got to do it. I mean, that's not the best advice. It really isn't. I'm afraid to get on stage. Well, just get on stage. That's easy. Of course, that's not how it works. But uh, in my experience, I just had to do it. You get anxious, you get the butterflies, you chug a can of energy drink. Maybe that's not what you can do at your age. I would not do that now, but at 18, that's certainly what I did. Chug a monster, just walk on stage and do your thing, and afterwards, you can be all shaky and all that, but that's afterwards. So hopefully that helps. Did I check out any of Ateker? No, it is on my list. I have not gotten to it yet. A lot of my listening this year has been 2022 stuff. So, and not much lately, unfortunately. I've been quite busy these last few months. I haven't really listened to much at all aside from our album reviews, so it's easy to say and hard to do, 100%, but you just gotta have fun and own it. Completely agree with that. I played a show once where our guitarist capo was 1 fret too high and the show went on. See? As long as you just play it cool, everything's fine. Yep. Vicky or Vichy is completely correct there as well. Just look like you're having fun. The worst is the start. Damien's right on flow there. Right on. He's correct there. Once you get into it, I think the nerves calm a little bit, or you forget about the nerves. I'm not really sure what's actually happening, but I know when I walk off of stages, I'm real shaky. Like my nerves are definitely shot, but at that point, I'm done. And I don't really remember what happened during the show. I was just in the moment. So the way I think about it is how many times you even notice missed notes, let alone affecting your experience. Yeah, think about yourself as an audience member at a concert or something. You ever sitting there critiquing them, or are you just enjoying the music? That's what your audience is going to be doing for you. They're just going to be sitting there and enjoying it all. All right. My voice is getting a bit hoarse here. I'm going to try to answer a few of these other questions from the community post I did a couple weeks ago. Continue to chat with y'all. Probably do this for another 25 minutes or so. I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks everyone for coming out, by the way. This has been phenomenal. Definitely, like I said, I started off really nervous hitting the start streaming button, but it's gone very well. Mega Sea Monkey asked me who my favorite growl vocalist is. I don't think I have one. Oh, no, I do. I do. Whoever's the vocalist for Wintersea. She doesn't always growl, but she does sometimes. And I think that's the closest I'm going to get to a growling vocalist. And there's really good enunciation in there. Maybe some production that helps with that. But I can understand what she's saying, which is a huge problem I have with most growlers. And there's some clarity to it all. Not just the enunciation, but the sonic quality of it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with her. Favorite album of all time? Jeez, Joshua, man. Dang, that's a tough one. Maybe Artwork by The Used. Maybe Midheaven by Human Abstract. Probably landed on one of those. Avian Low. Avian sounds right because they did sign some stuff for me when I bought their album, and that name I think is one of the signatures. I didn't know about Low. That's interesting given how low her vocals are. I saw Cannibal Corpse live, and I have to admit I was critiquing the drummer. There was only one time I went to a show and was like not moshing or anything. I was just standing there watching it. It was Dragon Force. And they were so drunk and sloppy, it was not even funny. Like, I was still in awe. Despite how drunk and terribly they were playing, it was still accurate-ish. And it was fast, and there's the spectacle to all of that, but man, it was sloppy. I think that's the only time I've been pulled out of a performance. Poppy's got some killer harsh vocals on the new album. Yes. Okay, so Poppy's new EP reminds me a lot of Jack Off Jill, and she actually did cover a Jack Off Jill track like this year, I think. Um, and I'm really hoping that she creates a spiritual successor to Jack Off Jill's works, because they haven't made music in forever, and I really, really miss their sound. So I'm looking forward to whatever Poppy brings next. Um, Autumn Sphere asks, talk about the black metal that you like. Had to go there, huh? um, so far the black metal I've enjoyed, I don't know if there's any specific song or track, but it's the more experimental stuff. Pairing the blackened sound with different production types or composition types. There was that one we had on live stream once where it was folk music. Not Western folk though, like African folk music or something like that. Very percussion heavy, very rhythmic heavy. Not Western instruments though. Um, but it had like blackened drum kit and guitar alongside that and chanting. I can get behind that. Again, though I do want to reiterate, not something I'd go out of my way to listen to. But if somebody told me, you got 1 hour, you're listening to black metal, you're doing it, and I had to listen to black metal, it'd probably be something a bit more avant-garde, experimental. Not black metal per se, but black metal adjacent. Have you ever finished composing a piece just to realize you inadvertently stole the whole melody from something else? Yes! Yeah, it hasn't happened in a while. But one instance, geez, I was like 21 or something, and I wrote this really nice guitar solo for the band that I was in at the time. And it had this rising thirds. And it wasn't until I brought it to the band. I was like, yo, I've been writing this song. This is the guitar solo part. Here's the drum part. And the guitarist is like, this is disturbed. It's like, what do you mean this is disturbed? And sure enough, it was the guitar solo from Inside the Fire, I think. But yeah, that do 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 that rising thirds idea that the guitarist ends the solo with, and I was like, dang, yep, that's the same idea there. uh, haven't seen it, but thanks for the heads up. Oh, that's for Jojo. Can't go wrong with Krallis or that DHG song you did a while back, Felian Void. Oh, that's another thing. That Vector band that combines like black metal with I don't know what is it? Hair metal, power metal? I might be able to listen to an hour of that. But I think the whole blackened aesthetic for me is still not something I would intentionally set myself up for, but something that I'm learning that I can deal with in a sense. And the final one from the community post was from that horrid thing, says, have I ever heard of Evergrey? No, I haven't. Not sure what that is. Vector's am I thinking of the wrong band then? It's possible. I might be getting bands mixed up. Progressive thrash. Okay, so that ain't them. There was a band we checked out recently. I think Special Selection. It was like blackened power metal. I wish I could remember what it was though. Does anybody else have anything else they want to ask me before I head out of here? Anything at all. It doesn't even have to be music related. It's interesting too. I mean, maybe it's because in our last Q&A that we did for 5,000, I think, and in the interview I did with Jeeves, I've answered it. But usually, always get asked how I got into music. What's for dinner? Do you still recommend Proton Sweet? So what's for dinner? Tonight I am eating tofu over rice with broccoli with coconut aminos over it as a soy sauce replacement. Um, my kid is at a birthday party for her cousin, so she's probably having pizza or something. I don't know. She ain't here today. Do I still recommend a Proton Suite? 100%. In fact, they have a Black Friday deal going on right now. You can pick up Proton Complete or whatever for $7.19 per month. You have to pay in 1 or 2 year interval. You get Proton Mail, you get the VPN, you get simple login, and 500 gigs of cloud storage for $7 a month. It really is a steal. Everything's end-to-end encrypted. I can't. Oh, and their calendar. You get an encrypted calendar with shareability. I really can't, especially at this price point. Between Surfshark, which is my last VPN, and Proton Mail, the middle tier, I was paying about $8. So I'm paying less right now. Plus, I have a much better VPN. I would never suggest Surfshark ever again. And 500 gigs of encrypted cloud storage. It's a no-brainer. It really is. Any plans for the rest of the day? I am going to eat some food. My uncle brought over some New York style pizza last night from this really good place. It's like 30 minutes away from here, so I don't get to eat there very often. So I got some leftover New York style pizza. It's not as good as New York style pizza because Florida water just, I don't know if it's a taste thing or minerals. New York water makes the best pizza. Fight me on it. I don't care. But it's pretty good. So I'll eat some of that, and then I'm going to get with my gaming buddies and probably play some Risk of Rain 2. We picked up this game called Barotrauma, which is like a Eastern European style PC game about being in a submarine. It is super complex, and we killed each other last time unintentionally. We're trying to survive a single mission right now. Yeah, Barotrauma. Yeah, it's Risk of Rain. Risk of Rain 2, we have like 150 hours, and we started modding it. I put in Goku, Trunks, Vegeta. Beerus, a Beerus mod just came out today, so we're turning it to Dragon Ball Z Risk of Rain. And we found a new mod that every time you buy something, there's a small chance Mithrix drops down on you. So, introducing some chaos. So that's my plan for today until my kid comes home. And then we're probably going to watch a movie together because it's Saturday. Cook some popcorn. What else am I missing here? Yeah, yummy. I love tofu and rice. It's so good. And a veggie. It's not super complete as far as vitamins and stuff goes, but it's so good. Until no, dude, coconut aminos are so good. It's very close to soy sauce. I'm not gonna say it's a perfect soy sauce replacement. Azathoth actually put me onto it. It doesn't taste like coconuts. It's actually the sap from coconut trees watered down. It's got this sweet saltiness to it. It's so good. But yeah, it's not, it has nothing to do with the coconut nut fruit. I don't know what the coconut is. But yeah, it's really good. How do you find time for all of this? Honestly, I don't know. I don't. I probably put a good 50 hours in to the channel every week. As far as running the Discord and the comp jam and providing feedback on everything that's put into the comp jam and on the workshop channel and doing the comments and doing all the videos and reading, I said all the comments, the timestamps. Timestamps, man, that was a difficult problem. And I think there's still some optimization to it. Right now, I record, every time I push a button, I record the number of seconds it has been since midnight. And then I have to go manually subtract all of them to find out the seconds or minutes between them. And then I have to go back into the video and rewatch it at those timestamps to figure out what I was talking about so I can put the title of the timestamp down. It all uses an auto hotkey script that I really want to optimize so that when I push the button, it does all the arithmetic for me and gives me the minutes and seconds. So all I have to do later is check back on the video for the topic. So, oh wow, still going. Yeah, it's wrapping up soonish. I've got a few questions I want to answer here. But yeah, we're still rolling. But yeah, so there is still some optimization that goes in, and some of my work for those 50 hours a week goes into trying to optimize everything. My hope is that I can streamline everything and try to fit more on my plate without removing things. Why do I do this to myself? I don't know. It's Sunday here. Wow. I was going to say, this live stream is cross day, but all live streams are cross day if you look at the right time zone. What time is it there? Right now it is 1:47. New York water is a feat of engineering. Nothing like it. There really isn't. Like, um, I will drink New York tap water. I will not drink Florida tap water. I don't care what county I'm in. I don't care who treats the water. I'm not touching it. New York tap water, I'll drink. Princeton tap water over in Jersey, I'll drink that. Not many tap waters in Jersey I'll drink, but Princeton, they have not. It tastes like it's purified. It's so clean. I don't get it. And obviously, it's not super clean unless they have a powerful filtration system um, that pushes it, removes that many more particle per million than any other county. But yeah, Princeton tap water tastes just like drinking purified water that you buy at the store. It's wild. As a born and raised Floridian, excellent call. Yeah, I'm not. I had a zero water purifier for a long time, and then that company went downhill. Their purifiers were garbage. So now I just use whatever the refrigerator that my mom has. That's where I drink my water. And it's pretty good. I checked it, and it's at like 100 and I think our tap water is 120 ppm, and the filter brings it down to 80. It's good enough, I suppose. It tastes fine. I think that's the most important part, the water. How's my daily schedule? I wake up at 7. I prep some stuff before my kid before my kid wakes up at 7:15. I pack lunch for her. I sign her agenda. I take her off to school. I start work at 8 o'clock. I begin with comments and early access. Sometimes I have to do yesterday's thumbnails and timestamps if I ran out of time. I get the early access rolling on both Patreon and Discord. I catch up on what Discord's been up to. I catch up on the comments. And then usually about 9:30 or 10 o'clock, I start recording. The recording process, depending on how long the videos take, can run me past lunch. I'll usually grab something light to eat, catch back up on comments, do thumbnails and timestamps. That usually runs me to about 3 o'clock, and that's usually when I call it a day because my kids usually get home about 3:15, 3:20. Unless I have to go pick her up, in which case I got to end my day about 2:30. I got to end it about half an hour earlier. And then after that, it's just hanging out with my kid, asking her what was up with school, and then cooking. After that, I'm on Discord all day as well. I'm constantly checking on Discord. But yeah, after work, I got to get my kid rolling on the shower. I got to keep track of her evening schedule and shower, dessert, bedtime. I usually get back onto my computer about 9:40ish. I got about an hour until bed, and I'll watch a TV show or play a video game for a little bit. I'll go to bed at 11 and wake up and do it all over again. So, yeah, that's my schedule. I work from 8 to 3 Monday through Friday, and then family stuff until I get an hour to myself at night. Yeah, it's really not that bad. Um, and some days Wednesdays are a little different. Wednesdays the new stuff for Rocket League comes out, the new challenges for the Rocket Pass. So I will usually try to end my work as soon as possible on a Wednesday. I promise I don't rush the reactions, but I don't take my time. I'm like, gotta get this done, gotta get this done, because I want to put about 60 to 70 minutes into Rocket League before my kid comes home to get the challenges done for the week. Other than that, though, haven't played Rocket League in a hot minute. You know, I would like to say that, but it keeps pulling me in. And you don't get to stay in the top 8% if you don't keep putting the time in. So I do. Rocket League and Civ 6 are the only games I play now. I have Civ 6. I've got like 40 hours in it. But it's not something I play by myself. It's a group play. Anytime my buddies want to play, I'll drop that in. Strange Machines, welcome. I was nervous getting on here, but this has been really fun. Yeah, this community is awesome. I agree with that. I have seen a lot of real bad communities online, and this is not one of them. Not by any stretch of the imagination. We're actually not doing song requests today. This is just general hanging out. But you're free to request songs. They just won't get reacted to today. New York City or the state in general, that I don't know. I'm going to say New York City because that's the only place I've had tap water and the only place I've gotten pizza. I don't know what the rest of the state's like. Oh, Azathoth says it's New York City specifically. So there you go. Crazy decades-long project to serve the whole city with lots of money and lives on the cost. Nice. Ew, tap water that tastes like carbonated egg water. That's gross. Can you make a playlist of your favorite songs? I could do that. I could do that. I'll get with should probably be on Spotify, right? Everybody's got Spotify. I feel like I'm the only person on Apple Music. Well, I could also put a YouTube one together. That would probably work as well. There's a lot of community playlists that we have. Bear runs those. But I don't think any that I contribute to. So yeah, let me write that down. Where's my marker? Legit. Oh, jeez. How did it fall off? Also, like, massive life hack, make your desk a whiteboard. This was one of the wildest things. I didn't come up with this. But it is one of the wildest things. It's so nifty just to like put random notes down. Let's see. Personal favorite song playlist. Hey, Greg's Whiskey Guide. Thank you for being here. Fabulous official. Welcome. I don't have Spotify. I'm using YouTube Music now. I'm really liking it. I don't know what I'm going to be using. My Apple trial ends January, I think, is when my 6 month is up. Really generous trial. But I need something that I can play lossless audio on my computer, which Apple doesn't allow. I'm really upset about that. Lossless audio, which I don't think Spotify supports at all yet, so Spotify's out of the running. And a family plan where the price is not redonkulous. I think Apple's family plan is 15, which is not too bad. So I think Tidal might be where I'm going next, or Deezer. I think Tidal was too expensive though. I think they're a real price. I think Deezer might be where I'm going. I don't think Apple Music does lossless yet either. Haven't had issues with Spotify audio. No, and like I use Apple's compressed audio for the for everything actually because I listen to it on my computer. It's not bad, but there's always that little piece of my mind. This is compressed. You're not listening to, or not compressed. It is lossy. Obviously, their lossless one's compressed too, but it is a lossy format you're listening to. Are there details you're missing? So, Spotify library can include your own downloads. I started doing that because I rip all my audio and put it on my phone and stuff, all my CDs. But with Apple, I just ended up deleting all the FLACs I have on my phone and just downloading the music that they have. It's just easier to have it like that, I suppose. But that is nice about Spotify, it's allowing you to bring your own. You do have to download to every device, though, no streaming from PC. Gotcha. Let me catch back up here. I know I'm missing a lot of stuff here. I'll have to check out the Discord when I have time. Yeah. If you're interested, if you enjoyed this community interaction right here and the way everyone's talking and the conversations we had, the Discord is like this. But instead of trying to have 5 conversations at the same time, everything has its own chat room. So there's a video game chat room and a board game chat room and a music chat room and an off-topic chat room. It helps keeps the conversations readable. But this is pretty much a condensed version of what the Discord is like. Spotify playlist would be awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I don't have Spotify, but YouTube. So yeah, I'll do a YouTube one and a Spotify one, and I'll have Bear make the Spotify one for me. Cheers from France. Yeah, welcome. Thank you. Any podcasts I listen to? No. I listened to a couple. I really tried to get into them about a decade ago. While I had a manual labor job, and it helped pass the time, but not anymore. Podcasts just don't really work for me. I think part of it though is that I'm a visual learner. I don't retain things auditorily. I don't know what it is about music. Music works for me. I do learn more by seeing the sheet music, but I understand music auditorily. But when it comes to words, and if I hear it, it's in one ear out the other. If I read it, I'll retain it. So podcasts never really worked for me. It's the same reason I don't do audiobooks. I read because otherwise I'll forget what I was listening to. Interesting idea, but I don't like the idea of getting marker on my wrists. What did I miss there? Oh, for the desk. Yeah, actually, I think I have a picture somewhere on the Discord. I'll take another one if you want, though. I have a very big, like, keyboard mat that basically gives me columns on the side of the desk where I take my notes. So nowhere that my wrists ever go. YouTube Premium gives you YouTube Music. I used to have Tidal, not sure why I didn't like it. The only thing I know about Tidal is that they're pricey and that one of Kanye West's albums was exclusively released on it. That's the only thing I've ever heard about Tidal. So I gotta look into it. Oh, other than the fact that Tidal has a bunch of what they call master mixes. I don't know what it means, but they have a bunch of tiers other than just like regular, lossless, and then like high def and like master mix. Apparently they have the best audio recreation tech or something like that. Or maybe it's all just buzzwords. I don't know. Title for 5.1 mixes, but the selection is all over the place and compatibility is weird. Well, that's not great. I want to say that your reviews really helped me in my music class where I dissect songs to my liking. Awesome. Thanks for the detailed reviews. I'm glad. What genres of music you listened to while young? I grew up on Metallica and classic rock. Boys Are Back in Town, anything that kind of sounds like that, AC/DC, Dirty Deeds. My stepfather listened to a lot of the classic rock radio station. My dad listened to a lot of Metallica and hair metal. The first song I can ever remember singing the lyrics to is Sad But True. Black Album is what I grew up on. Ozzy's No More Tears. Is that Ozzy? That album I grew up on a lot on. Symphony of Destruction from Megadeth I remember listening to a lot as a kid. My mom listened to a lot of country. Shania Twain, whoever sang These Boots Were Made for Walking. My mom also loved hair metal, though. I remember listening to, whenever she would clean the house, it was Loverboy. That whatever album she had, listened to that all the time. So that was my earliest music. And when I hit 15, I picked up the trumpet, and bands introduced me to classical, and I picked up jazz, and that's where a lot of my performance and composition interests come from. And then, of course, the entire world of academia after that. But yeah, rock was real big. And then, of course, as a teen, nu metal and stuff like that. Everything has their own chat room, so they get hijacked by another topic, like food. Every single chat room on Discord ends up talking about food at one point in time. I'm in too many Discords to keep up with, so I won't be adding notes. That's perfectly fine. I totally understand. Word salad for 50 minutes. I kind of feel that way, but I can't say much because it's usually a bunch of people rambling on about stuff, and I mean, critical reactions could probably be a podcast. So I'm not going to do anything critiquing. Thin Lizzy? Which one does Lizzy sing? Because, like I said, most of the childhood stuff, I knew the names of songs, not really bands though. Podcast is like pulling teeth to have to listen to a conversation and not be able to contribute. Medieval to contemporary and a lot of metal. Yeah. Yeah, actually, Greg's Whiskey Guide is a very cool channel. I checked it out the other day because I thought it was just a username. And then I went and checked the channel and yeah, there's a whiskey guide. But there's a really cool series that Greg, I'm going to assume, does where he pairs metal albums with different whiskeys. Very cool. I'm not a whiskey drinker, so I don't know how well the pairings are, but it's a very interesting concept of pairing food or drink with metal albums, much like you would pair an entree or a meal with it. So yeah, if that sounds interesting, I definitely suggest checking it out. Very cool thing to randomly run into. Listening to reactions 90% of the time, yeah. Jay-Z owns Tidal. Okay. Visual learner and all that got more or less proven to be bollocks. The important part is you have ideas linked to others in memory. Well, okay. That's interesting. While I will definitely accept that it's been disproven, because I'm not somebody who believes science is fake, my lived experience, though, is that I cannot retain information told to me auditorily. I just don't. When I watch TV and film, I turn on subtitles because it's how I'm going to remember it. Otherwise, dialogue is just completely lost on me. I don't. Maybe it has nothing to do with the idea of visual or auditory learning, but there's something in my brain that just does not capture language specifically, uh, auditorily. Oh, Jay Z sold it. All right. I thought I stopped my life. I said I was going to, but we just keep going because honestly, aside from my throat starting to get a bit scratchy, I'm enjoying myself. I love a lot. Oh, that yeah, I already got that part. Have you ever worked on some music after being excited reviewing a song suggested on your channel? Not intentionally. I did. I talked about this earlier in the stream, but I just made a song with a Mars Volta inspired chaotic section to it because that was the most recent thing I had heard, and it fit with what I was feeling at the moment. So it's not like I went out of my way to say I want to emulate Mars Volta, but it definitely influenced me. I have particularly utilized 16th note bowing on an E violin through a amplifier that was distorted to create that black metal sound. I've definitely purposefully included that before. So yeah, the stuff that I reviewed definitely works its way into my writing. Thoughts on the song Under the Influence? Never heard it. Growing on Black Album and not liking black metal. Hair metal for me doesn't exist. It's a post thing happened. Judgment on what was going on in the 80s. A lot of bands were doing what we call hard FM in French, so commercial metal. Okay, I can see that. I can appreciate that angle. My exposure to music has always been the same 40 songs on the 80s top 40 in the car with my parents with a tiny bit of 90s rock. Yeah. What bands, subgenres of music do you like the most for now? Oh, according to my album listening guide, it's post-hardcore, which I already knew. Post-hardcore is probably my favorite rock and metal genre, easily. It just combines a lot of things that I enjoy in music with in more palatable music with the few abrasive elements that I like in metal. It fits that nice medium point for me. Interestingly, though, that hasn't changed. Growing up, my first entrance into rock and metal when I was a teenager was new metal and then metalcore and then post-hardcore. And that's been fairly consistent. I don't think that's really changed too much, although I have learned that I've liked tech death. Not something I can always listen to, but when I'm in the mood, nothing else hits like it. So I guess that is part of the changing. I'm always impressed with how you deal with stuff that's not necessarily an easy pill to swallow or right up your alley with challenging music. Yeah. Uh, I wish I could say it was something that I could explain, but I think it's just about being open-minded, honestly. I listen to things and I say, I'm not digging this, but what can I learn from it? I think that's true for everything in life, not just about music, but everything is a learning situation if you open your mind to it. I grew up listening to a bunch of prog. My dad would have listened at night. It's kind of weird. I think I was 6 years old listening to Camel. That's so good. At 6, I was telling my oh, I forgot about this. My grandma used to listen to a lot of old time rock and roll. And I remember listening to a lot of You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog and Achy Breaky Heart at my grandmother's house. I don't know how much of that influenced much because it wasn't as often as what my parents listened to, but I do very clearly remember listening to those songs at her house. A lot of people started with prog or were listening to prog early in their life. Interesting. I mentally always try to have it as if it's a delicacy to somebody, then it's a delicacy. Yeah, I like that. If somebody thinks something is good, then it is good. That's a fantastic like mantra to have. Oh, that's the word you said. I might have subconsciously saw that before I read it. My brother turned me off to Rush since it was played constantly. I thought you didn't like Tech Death. I think of the Faceless when I think of them. I can't think of what the Faceless sounds like. To me, Tech Death is like Archspire. The growling I can usually deal without, but viewing it as a percussion instrument and the rhythmic technicality that the Archspire vocalist utilizes, I can groove with it. It's not like I said, it's not something I'm always going to put on. But as far as heaviest music goes, I think it's the one that I can deal with the most easiest, even if I have to be in a specific mood for it. Yeah, the name's familiar. I just can't place a sound to them, and that's gonna happen when you listen to 1,000 bands in 3 years. When I think about that, it's just like wow. Music wise, I try to stay open to genres I'm supposed not to like. Yeah, for sure. I was amazed at how weird but interesting a band like Death Grips is, even if I won't necessarily listen to them every day. Yeah, 100%. That's definitely the way to go about this stuff. Any of it is to just stay open minded. Eventually you're going to find something, even if you don't want to listen to it all the time, you're still taken aback by it. Like, wow, that's neat. That's awesome. I don't want to hear that all the time, but I'm glad that I've heard it once. It has enriched my life in somehow, and now I know that I like something I didn't like before. And I think that's powerful for growth. Have you heard October Tide? Ex-vocalist of the best friend of Opeth's vocalist. Oh, that's fun. Ex-vocalist of this band is the best friend of Opeth's vocalist. If not, have you ever reacted to doom metal? I have never heard of October Tide. I have reacted to doom metal. I was introduced to Funeral Doom just recently. Doom is not my cup of tea. I will always give Doom bands a listen for sure, and I'll be positive about it and find some cool stuff to talk about if I can. But it's slow and stagnating and full of repetition. Just not the right place to start off for me casually. See, that's where I'm at. JoJo nails it. Appreciate it, but I can't get into it. I understand what Doom is doing. The the tempo and the weight of the sounds are necessary for portraying the emotions and vibes they want. They're just not vibes I like to listen to often. I love Funeral Doom. uh Skepticism was something. That was something. I like it when it's incorporated into other genres, but not when it's the focus. I feel the same way about a lot of stuff, like black metal. I'm not a big fan of black metal, but I like that staticky 16th note playing. I think it has potential outside of it. I'm not a super big fan of gent, but I like genty sections. I think there's something very cool about hyper technical groove. I just don't want a full song of it. And I feel the same way about Doom. You hit a slow moment of a song, and the impact of that, like slamming into a wall, is going to be phenomenal for the narrative of your music. But I'm not going to listen to a 13-minute Doom epic, not on my own, anyways. So, I mean, as usual, I'm a huge fan of contrast, and there's a lot of genres that tend to stick with one idea. And I'm a much bigger fan of saying, what if we did Doom and Black and Funeral and Deathcore and Sludge, and we put it all into one song, which is probably why I enjoy prog a bit, but also the sheer variety of it all means not all prog is going to hit me because it's all going to be very different. So, it's a double-edged sword of combining everything, but then having, a lack of identity to an album where every song could be completely different. A bit like Vector. I guess we're going to have to go with that because I obviously don't remember who Vector is. I'm glad I've gotten into music as much as I have. Before 10th grade, I literally never intentionally listened to it. Wow. I love to see your reaction and analysis for an October Tide song. Yeah, I mean, I'm down for it. Um, Next year, I've already mentioned this a couple times, but I think you just joined recently. I'm trying to incorporate ways for the community to have more impact on what we do. I don't know how I'm going about that yet, but it is a goal of mine. So maybe we'll be able to get some October Tide on the channel next year sometime. Not to be that guy, but on the subject of Vector, if you react to them, you might catch flack in the comments because their guitarist has some serious allegations against them. We've done 2 Vector tracks, haven't we? I don't think I've seen anything in the comments about that. Because we did Charging the Void and Recharging the Void. I mean, it's fine too. Like, there's a couple of bands where the politics of the band come up after I've done the video, and I had no idea going into it. It's just like sometimes it happens. As long as the music, I think, isn't calling for. As long as the music is separate from the artist, I don't mind putting it on the channel. When the music is calling for a specific thing, that's when the problem comes, and even that is a bit of a shady area. I don't want to not allow music that is a bit of a darker topic. I think art deserves to explore dark topics. But there definitely needs to be some sort of line. And I don't quite know how to go about that yet. And I think that's why Varg is the only person I've soft banned on the channel, is because he has ideas that seep into his lyrics as well. Please react at some point to my favorite indie rock band, Idaho. It's unique and its leader, Jeff Martin, is very cool. All right. Idaho from California. These bands. Ah, jeez. All right, I am going to, we're going to wrap this up. My voice is definitely getting a bit, which is weird too, because this is 3 hours. Oh, 3 hours of constant talking. I was going to be like, I have videos that are longer than this, but especially with the album stuff, which hits these 3 hour marks, there's breaks. It's an on and off thing. That definitely changes things. Thanks everybody for coming out, uh, hanging out with me today across 2 days for some people. Can this be the last question of the stream? What is it? Oh, unless can this be the last question is the last question. Boom, boom, boom. uh, but yeah, I guess that's the last one. You're welcome. I came late, but thanks. Yeah, thanks everybody else for coming. Even if you were here from the beginning or you just came in, I have a. Oh no, he ruined it, and he made me a liar. The other one is no longer the last one. I've been put into a conundrum. Uh, but again, thanks everyone, not just for, coming out today, which was really nice. I want to do more of this because this was very fun. Even if it's not Q&As, but just getting back into casual live streams. Glad this popped in my subscription feed. Nice. But just doing more live stream stuff. I enjoyed this. But also thanking everybody for helping me get this far. 26K is nothing to scoff at. And, while it's not growing quite as fast as other channels, and I try not to compare myself, but it really, sometimes it's a bit mind-boggling. When I look at another channel, I'm like, they're doing something similar to me. Why are they growing so fast? Makes me wonder if I'm doing something wrong as a YouTuber, even if I'm not doing something wrong as a critic. But yeah, 26K is still nothing to scoff at, though. It is massive. This is the third YouTube channel I've tried. And the other ones, it took me 4 months to break 1K on one of them. And this one smashed 1K in like a couple of days, a week maybe. It was wild. I don't know if I'd say cheaper in their depth. Like one that I've noticed popped up real quick is Ixie, IXI. She is very knowledgeable. She goes into more of the theoretical side of the chords and notes themselves. But I remember when she was 10K, just a few months ago, and she's past 50 now. Very knowledgeable. I would love to collaborate with her. Jeebs actually just did an interview with her, his second interview of composers who react. Very insightful interview with her. I would love to collab with her on something, anything, a video, music, but probably video length and thumbnails. I mean, that'll do it. She was afraid about doing longer videos, and Jeebs and I both told her, go for it. There's people out there who want to watch long form stuff. But yeah, it's just like maybe thumbnails are it, maybe length is, I don't know. Tennessee channels that work on very popular mainstream music. Yeah, and see, she primarily focuses on like industrial. She started out as just 9 Inch Nails. Her first like 30 videos were just 9 Inch Nails breakdowns. And now she's kind of pushed into the industrial music that's influenced her. And like I'm kind of jealous of the growth. Like I said, makes me wonder what I'm not doing or what I am doing. That's different, but she absolutely deserves it. 100%. Like I said, she's very knowledgeable and just a really great personality as well. But it does, like, again, it makes me question, what's going on with my channel. But I'm happy with what I'm doing. I don't want to change it too much. I like the format. I like the people. I kind of like the tighter knit community as well. I just find I usually give a quick outro once. Dude, I'm not even trying to compare myself to those entertainment reaction channels. I try not to look down on them. I understand what they're doing. It's entertaining. I even watch them myself. Like, I have no problem with them. But I understand that they're in a very different realm of mainstream ability. So I don't compare myself to the ones doing like 300,000 subscribers, millions of subscribers. Because it's just, I understand I'm long form and I'm more analytical. And that's going to turn some people away. Any more collabs with Gees on the go or Jeebs? I don't know. At the moment, we don't have anything in the plans in the works, and I haven't really had time to work on because he put together a pretty good backing track the other day, and I had some ideas for it, but I just haven't had the time to work on that yet. Jeeves is definitely a cool guy. Rick Beato, uh, I've he's I'm 50-50 on him. I love what he's doing. I think he's been a fantastic voice for bringing information to casual listeners. But that dude continues to look down on anything that isn't exactly what he listens to, and then other people take it as gospel. And I do think I can't see his channel as a net positive all the time. And it puts a sour taste in my mouth. And I don't want to talk bad about anybody. Like I said, he's done a lot of good. And I don't want this to turn into some sort of like bashing session or Brian, rate all these different reactors. But there's definitely times where I'm like, I wish he didn't put that video out. Because I do feel like it tends to create a lot of proof that modern music is bad because this very well known popular YouTuber said it was. So someone had mentioned Daily Doug. Love Daily Doug. I wish I had that dude's ear. I know a lot of people are like, I appreciate what you're doing, Brian, and you're bringing a different thing to the table. And yeah, I'm glad I got my niche, and I'm really glad to lean into it. But just on a composition side, that dude can just hear a song play and be like, that's this chord followed by this chord. And like, I just wish I had that so I could utilize it in my composition. Just to be able to hear something and be like, oh, that's exactly what I need. And then just add that chord to my work. Pat Finnerty. I've seen a couple of his things. Definitely cracks me up at times. Charismatic voice is phenomenal. A couple of those that Greg mentioned, I don't recognize. Thoughts on a harmonica? Beautiful instrument. My daughter has one. I don't know how to play it well though. I don't understand. There's so many notes at the same time. If I'm not mistaken, are the only reactors I'm actually subscribed to. Well, thanks. I've only joined Jeeves for Between the Beard and Me. Vin and Sori. I like their lyrical breakdowns, especially because they bring a religious angle to it. I usually skip past the parts that get super heavy on the religious part where it feels preachy, but I do really like the angle they have on that. And Vin is just super perceptive. He either has a lot of life experience or he has viewed a lot of life experience and can connect with lyrics in a way that it's masterful a lot of times. Is having an ear like Doug genetic? Genetics help, but you can always train your ear. I think the only thing that's genetic is perfect pitch, but I think you can train your ear to be very close to be able to pull out specific notes. Vin gets yeah, Vin does get preachy sometimes. You and Vin and Sawyer are the best. Oh, thank you, Nick. Even if I don't agree with him, I know he knows from his perspective what he's talking about. Yeah, he's an intelligent dude, and I can't discredit that. He's always got something really interesting to add and to pull out of the lyrics, so I'm always down for that. Jim Newstead is phenomenal. I wish he had more viewers, although I think he jumped up quite a bit recently. I remember he was in the 10Ks a while ago, or not that long ago, and I think he's in the 30s now. Oh, 20s. So yeah, definitely growing. He does a lot of album reviews, and just a very cool guy to hang out with. There are bands which really bring emotions to me in interviews, showing up with positivity. Yeah. All right, everyone. You have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks so much for coming out and hanging with me. This was fun. We're going to do it again. I don't know when, but I can't not do this again because this was a blast. maybe at a different time slot, try to allow more people to join in. Saturday at 11 is really good for me, but maybe it's late for other people or too early for some people, or maybe they work on Saturdays. Not everybody's got a 9 to 5, so I don't know, we'll do it again somehow, some way, sometime. All right, until next time, you guys continue to be critical. Don't let that cynical element break in and overtake. And take off your... Had to bring it back. Weirdest bot ever, or spammer. Like, what in the world? Just spending your Saturday. I mean, it's got to be a bot, right? That can't be a person. Spending a Saturday doing Control V over and over. It's weird. It's great for me in France. Yep, never cynical. That's awesome. That's great to hear. All right, you guys take care. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I'm going to get some food. Kind of late, 2:30, man. Might as well just wait for dinner. And I'll catch y'all next time. See ya.